right, how's everyone doing tonight? All right, we are continuing with our stream of Fate Stay Night. Last we left off, Saber used her Noble Phantasm to take down Ryder, but it's left her extremely drained. So we'll just pick up from there. February 10th. Fate. 11. Dragon Slaying. Artoria. That's the name she was given when she celebrated her coming of age. It was wartime. It began with the collapse of an empire. An empire that had been meant to be eternal was slowly waiting to die amid invasions from all sides. In preparation for the many wars, the Empire deprived an island nation of its military. That is how it began. Having lost the Empire's protection, her nation had no choice but to become independent, and over time, it broke up into smaller nations. The invasions came again and again. Internal conflicts between clans spiraled out of control. Then came a long period of war, which would later become to be known as the Dark Ages. It is during this difficult time that she was born, heir to the throne. A long, tumultuous period of war. The king believed in a mage's prophecy and so eagerly awaited the birth of his worthy successor. But the child born to him was not the child he desired. His child wasn't male. Fated king or not, the child could not assume the throne unless they were a boy. So the girl was entrusted to the king's retainer and was raised as a knight. The king was saddened, but the mage delighted. One's sex had nothing to do with one's worthiness to become king. More than that, the mage was convinced that the girl's absence from the castle until the day of the prophecy was proof she was the true king. So, she grew up under the care of a simple and wise old knight as his adopted child and successor. The old knight did not believe in the mage's prophecy. He simply raised her to be a knight and hoped for her to continue growing because he felt something from her that reminded him very much of his own lord. But even without the knight's encouragement or intervention, the girl trained every day to become stronger than anyone else. If an alien country, headed toward its own demise, can only be saved by a king, the girl had sworn to wield her sword for that reason, and that reason alone, without anyone ever needing to tell her to do so. And then the prophesied day arrived. Knights and lords from around the nation gathered in hopes of being chosen to be king. If this was to be a contest to determine the best possible king, all assumed the selection would be made in a mounted joust. Instead, all that waited at the site of selection was a naked blade thrust into a stone. On the hilt of the sword, a glittering gold inscription read, "Whosoever pulleth this sword from this stone is the rightful king of England." Many knights took their turn to trying to draw the sword from the stone, but none were able to draw the sword from the stone, so the knights decided to compete in a joust, as they had originally expected on arriving. The girl was not yet a knight, and so could not participate in the joust. She approached the stone of selection, which sat largely abandoned, its appeal having long since faded and reached for the sword's hilt. She did not hesitate.
それを手に取る前にきちんと考えた方がいい。
She turned around, and before her stood the most feared mage in the nation. He gave his warning. Once she takes hold of that sword, she will cease to be human. She responds only with a nod. To be king is to no longer be human. She has been resolved to do this from the moment she was born. To be king is to kill more than anyone, in protection of everyone. The young girl thought of this every night and lay in bed, shivering at the implications until morning. Not a day went by that she was not afraid. But in that moment, she pledged that her days of fear were at an end. She drew the sword effortlessly from the stone, and bright light engulfed the whole of the site of selection. And in that instant, she ceased to be human. A king's sex does not matter. So long as they carry out the function of a king, none would care about a king's appearance, or even bother to pay attention to such a thing. And even if someone noticed the king was a woman, it would not matter so long as she was a good king. The sword's magical energy must have halted her growth. While many knights found it eerie and feared her, most saw their lord's immortality as a divine gift. And so, the legendary, celebrated king of the Age of the King began. The new king in battle was seen as something of a god of war. The king always led from the front. No enemies could stand in her way. Artoria, the god of battle, hailed as a dragon incarnate, she knew no defeat. In 10 years, she fought 12 battles and never once lost. In those days, her chief duty as king was on the battlefield. Not once did she turn back. Not once was she disgraced. She was raised to kingship and fulfilled her obligations without hesitation. Maybe that's why I had a vision of her. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Her soul must still be on the battlefield. It's not yet dawn. She stands under the indigo sky and lets the wind whip at her as she stares off into the distance. The sky is high and clouds slide by overhead. Out in the clear air, sword in hand, she gazes at the great army she's about to confront. That image of her won't leave it. It's burned into my mind now. She and her sword are one. The sword from the stone which chose the king. The brilliance of the sword that determined her fate is also her brilliance. But I tilt my head and wonder with this dream. That sword isn't the one she holds. It's similar, but different. The sword she holds now isn't the one she used last night. But if that's the case, what happened to that incredible sword? When I wake from my dream, I find myself in my own room. It's bright outside. I must have come back to my room last night, unable to make a decision, then fallen asleep while I was watching over Saber. That was a dream? It was a strange dream. What I saw, I had no way of knowing any of that, and that wasn't the Saber I know. Is it even possible for me to dream of such a thing? But that sword was definitely different from the one Saber had. I racked my brain. Saber's identity had been unclear, and honestly, I still can't get my head around who she really is. Saber is Saber. I can't change the way I act around her, and I don't think Saber would want that in any case. But she looked incredible. She looked really cool with that sword last night, but she looked good with the sword in my dreams too. It'd be fair to say I was in awe. The sword last night and the sword from my dreams seemed to have left one heck of an impression on me. I guess I've got a thing for swords. I thought Lancer's spear was beautiful when I saw it too, but my passion for swords is on a whole other level. It would appear I have a thing for swords. Oh, you have no idea. Well, that's not really anything new. I draw in a deep breath and reach up, finding my forehead dripping with sweat. Sure is hot in here. I wipe the sweat from my forehead. It's winter, but my body feels flushed. I don't know why, but it feels like my blood is getting hotter, and it's unsettling. I wonder why. Ever since I saw a Saber sword, my whole body's been hot for some reason. My left hand, the one with my command spells, feels like it's holding a hand warmer. It's the same sensation I felt when Tosaka made me swallow a jewel, like there's something stirring in me or making me want to run. take a deep breath, trying to calm myself. Saber's probably still asleep. She still hasn't woken up, but it looks like she's stabilizing. Her breathing is even, and that pained look she had last night has smoothed over. Saber is sleeping peacefully. It's a morning like any other. Maybe if I let her sleep, Saber will recover. That way, I won't have to make her kill anyone. Then she can stay with me just like she has been. How could I be so selfish? I slam my fist into the wall. My own weakness nauseates me. It's my fault Saber turned out this way. What the heck am I going to do? I stayed up without another sound. I don't know when Saber is going to wake up, but I have to make a decision before she does. Tosaka's not up yet. The house is completely dead and the corridor feels deserted. No, it only feels like that because I'm so down. I can't decide what to do, so the whole world feels hazy, and I'm just wandering in that grayness. Huh? I hear something cutting through the air. There it is again. It's coming from the yard, but I know that sound. Well, I don't feel like making breakfast, so I'll go take a walk and check it out. It's colder than usual. Must be really cold for me to feel it, feverish as I am. It looks like it might even snow. It's coming from the shed. The sound of something slicing through the air reaches me at regular intervals. As I cross the yard, my breath misses the air. I find him in front of the shed. Given how unsurprised I am to find him, I guess I figured he'd be here. He must have been shooting his arrows. The moment Archer sees me, he lowers his bow in displeasure. That's dangerous! Don't shoot arrows at my house! What were you going to do if one hits something?
どうするつもりもない。もとより矢など使っていないのだ。いていないものが当たる道理はなかろう。
Don't they say that dry firing your bow isn't exactly good either? He doesn't have to tell me that. So the sound was just his bow itself. For some reason, Archer was just plucking his bowstring, not firing arrows. It's a good-looking bow. Didn't want to say as much earlier. I guess you're a bona fide archer.
さて、私はお前が知っている弓使いとは違うからな。弓道など聞かれても答えられんぞ。お前たちの弓は己に当てる射であり、私のは敵に当てる矢だ。お前の言うアーチャーというのは礼節を重んじる者のことだろう。
His lips curl snidely. I still can't stand this guy. I never thought to ask you about archery in the first place. I was just wondering what you were doing.
見ての通り、調子を測っているのだが、セイバーにつけられた傷も癒えた。いつまでも見張り役というわけにもいくまい。
I see. So his wounds have healed. That means Tosaka will get him back into the fight. I turn on my heel. If Tosaka and Archer are going to rejoin the battle, I need to make a decision too. I need to go somewhere I can think alone.
斬新という言葉があるな。
Huh?
ことを済ませた後に保つ間のことだ。私の弓術とお前の弓道で唯一共通しているものがそれだと思うのだが。
I didn't ask you for a lecture on the 8 stages of shooting.
まあ聞け。矢を放った後、体は自然と場に止まるという。それを斬新というそうだな。
Yes, there are 8 movements in Kyoto called the Shaho Hasets, which are the 8 principles of shooting. The final step, Zanshin, is what follows after releasing your bow. Yeah? What about it?
心構えの話だ。斬新とは己の行為。放った矢が的中するかを確かめるものではない。矢とは放つ前にすでに的中しているものだ。 射手は自らのイメージ通りに指を離す。ならば当たるか当たらぬかなど確認する必要はない。射の前に当たらぬと思えば当たらぬし、当たると思えば当たっているのだから。
That's absurd. No matter how much you might think a shot will hit, some shots won't. If all they had to do is think it will hit, everyone would hit every shot every time.
そうかな。少なくともお前は100発100中だろ。
What? He catches me off guard there. I mean, he's right, but...
まあそんな話はどうでもいい。言いたいことは一つだけだ。斬新とは矢が当たるかどうかを見極めるものではない。放った矢がどのような結果になるかなど分かりきったことだからな。
Kind of reminds me of bowling in a way. I remember bowling years ago, and yeah, I could picture going down the lane and doing exactly what I wanted to. But if my release on the ball was if my release on the ball was bad, then yeah, I knew it wasn't going to go the way I wanted it to.
ならば斬新とはその結果を受け入れるための心構えではなかったか。
I know that. You're telling me I need to follow through to the very end.
そういうことだ。セイバーのことは聞いた。彼女がこのような状態になるのは初めから分かっていたことだろう。魔力の提供もなしで戦っていればいつかは消える。それはもう決まっていたことだ。ならば
All that's left is to accept the result. He's telling me that no matter what I decide, no matter what it does to Saber, all I can do is see it through. I turn my back to Archer. This time, I'm going to be the one to leave Archer hanging.
あ、それともう一つ気がついていないようだから教えておこう。
His voice comes from behind me.
セイバーはな、宝具を使えば自分が消えると分かっていたはずだ。彼女はおそらく最後まで宝具を使う気はなかったのだろう。
This time, I hear nothing from his usual sarcasm.
にもかかわらず宝具を使った理由は一つ。セイバーは自身が消えることよりお前を守ることを選んだのだ。それを決して忘れるな。
For once, his voice is completely sincere. He's only telling the truth here. The park is empty as usual. Maybe because it's chillier than usual. There's hardly anyone out. Looks like I'm the only one walking around right now. I slumped down onto a bench. Well, I came here to be alone. Now that I'm here, I should think of what to do next. I can't put my decision off any longer. If I want to defeat the other masters and end this Holy Grail war, I need Saber. That's not what this is about, though. I just don't want to lose Saber. But that means I'd have to have Saber attack people like Ryder did. I can't let her do that. Giving Saber that order is as good as telling her to die. Besides, I think she'd just refuse outright. But when my head slumps down, I see my left hand. I have 2 command spells left. If I use one, I can force Saber to obey me even if she refuses. I bite my lip and shake the thought off. It's ridiculous. Time slips by me as I sit on the bench. I have no idea how long I remain sitting there. But just as my fingers start to tremble from the cold,
もういないと思ったらこんなところにいる。
And look up, hearing a voice calling to me.
やっぱりそうだ。こんにちは、シロ。浮かない顔してるけど何かあったの？
Ilya? Did you come all the way here by yourself again? It's not safe. You never know where masters are lurking. I'm about to warn her that other masters might be lurking nearby, waiting to attack. I catch myself realizing how stupid that would be. Ilya's a master. I shouldn't be worried about her. We're enemies. Sorry, I don't really have time to talk right now. I know we bumped into each other, but I can't talk today. It's going to be really cold, so you should head home. I don't get up from the bench as I dismiss Ilya. There are plenty of things I'd like to talk to her about, but I can't think of anything other than Saber right now. What's going on? Ilya doesn't say anything. She's looking at me as if I'm a stranger. Ilya? Sorry, I don't mean to be harsh. I've got a lot on my mind right now.
知ってるわ。セイバーが消えかけてるんでしょ。それでシローはどうしようかって考えてるのよね。
Just out of nowhere, Ilya's voice has gotten cold and detached. Ilya?
そんなことで悩むなんてバカみたい。シローがそんなだからライダーのマスターにも逃げられたのよ。負けたやつなんて殺しちゃえばいいだけなのに。
I move my feet. Something tells me this isn't a time to be sitting, so I shift my weight forward to get up. But my body doesn't move, as if I'm entranced by Ilya. Ilya, how do you know about that?
言うまでもないでしょ。昨日の夜ね。私もあのビルにいただけよ。もっとも、さすがにビルの中で様子を見てるしかなかったけど。
I try to make my hands and feet move, but nothing happens. No, it feels like the more I try to move, the stiffer they get. It's those eyes. Whenever I see Ilya's red eyes, my senses go dull.
あ、もう金縛りになったんだ。シロったら守りも何もないんだもの。一人でいれば簡単に捕まえられるって思ったけど、こんなに簡単に行くなんて可愛いな。
Ilya, you...
無駄だよお兄ちゃん。そうなったらもう動けないわ。もうじき声も出なくなるけど心配しなくていいよ。私もね、今日はお話をしに来たわけじゃないもの。
Ilya's eyes blaze with murderous intent. This is Ilya as I saw her the other night. Berserker's master. Do you plan to kill me right here? I grit my teeth and gather all my strength. But my fingers won't so much as budge. It's like Ilya's stare has frozen every nerve in my body.
うん。だってもうマスターでいてもしょうがないでしょ。セイバーが消えたらシローは一人きりだもの。いつまでもマスターにさせてられないわ。戦う手段がなくなったシローなんて簡単に殺せるんだから。
Ilya raises her hand. Her slender white fingers reach for my chest.
他の人に殺される前に見つけられてよかった。それじゃあおやすみなさいお兄ちゃん。どうせセイバーも消えるんだから早い方がすっきりするでしょ。
My vision fades. My limbs have gone completely numb, and now I can't see either. How long have I been stuck in this darkness? Before I can figure out whether I'm alive or dead, I lose consciousness. My body is burning. Even if my consciousness has fallen into darkness, the burning in my body tells me I'm still alive. Yes, that must mean I'm still alive. Even so, it may only be temporary. Ilya even said it.
戦う手段のないシローなんて簡単に殺せるんだから。
She's absolutely right. Without Saber, I can't fight a proper battle. The Holy Grail War is a battle between servants, and there's no way I could go up against servants. It's been proved more than enough by now. Each time I got absolutely thrashed. Like Saber said, all I could do against servants is try to survive for as long as possible. I couldn't even do that. I was cut to pieces and even thrown out of a third-story window. It's only this weird, inexplicable thing going on with my body that's kept me alive. It's so frustrating. It makes me so angry. In the face of an unbeatable opponent, I couldn't stop the catastrophe in front of me on my own. Even though I decided to fight, I said I was going to fight as a master and vowed not to hurt anyone, but I couldn't even keep those promises. I'm ticked off. The champions of justice I strived to emulate when I was young always had to win, or there would be no point. My body is burning. Every inch of me trembles with the need to win, but I have neither the means to win nor even a way to fight. What good am I? I can't even fight alongside Saber without bringing her down.
それも間違いだ。エミやシロウは格闘には向かない。お前の戦いは精神の戦い。己との戦いであるべきだからだ。
Suddenly, I remember Archer saying that.
戦いになればエミやシロウに勝ち目などない。お前のスキルでは何をやってもサーバントには通じない。
I know that. I've certainly been reminded more than enough.
ならばせめてイメージしろ。現実でかなわない相手なら想像の中で勝て。自身が勝てないのなら勝てるものを幻想しろ。
You don't have to remind me. I can only win in my own head. But what can I imagine that would ever help me to win? I can't imagine beating a servant. I don't have such a wild imagination as to fool myself. Any fantasy I come up with will be full of loose threads that'll come unraveled. My third-rate imagination hasn't got a prayer against these incredible servants. That's why, who do I win against? And how do I win? I'm still searching for that answer. Am I really searching for it? That golden sword. It's meant only for her. I don't want it for myself. It's so beautiful. Just once, I'd like to hold it in my hands if I can. I guess this is just a bad habit I've picked up as an untrained mage. Since all I can do is look within myself, I tend to dream about stuff I shouldn't. I should at least be allowed to dream. First, I imagine the thing's basic structure, then reproduce it. I guess there's not much point in strengthening here. If strengthening is the act of applying something to an existing object, there's not much point in doing that to something that doesn't even exist. That means I need to work harder if I'm going to remember that sword. This is well before the basics. This is from before Kiritsugu taught me strengthening, a magecraft process that I thought of on my own, and packed with trivial steps. Let's see, how did I do it? How did I give it form? When I come to, I have no idea where I am. Where am I? This place isn't just unfamiliar. There's a luxurious canopy bed, and the plush carpet is ankle deep. There's even a stone fireplace, and it's clearly not just a decoration. What I initially take for the wallpaper, I realize, on inspection, is actually patterns engraved on the wall. I've gotten used to fancy decorations like the one in Shinji's mansion, but this is something else entirely. It's a little embarrassing to say this out loud, but this place is like a castle from a fairy tale. My vision blurs. My body feels strangely heavy. Maybe I'm having circulation problems or something. I feel like I might fall back asleep if I relax even a little. What the heck happened? I try to get my clouded mind working. Oh, right. Elia paralyzed me and I just passed out. So, Elia's captured me. There's nobody in the room. My body feels heavy, but not so bad that I can't even lift a finger like before. If I really work at it, I might be able to lift an arm. What the? I'm tied up? My drowsy mind suddenly jolts to full alertness. I realize I'm in danger and so study my surroundings carefully. I'm in a chair. My hands are bound behind my back. I'm handcuffed. No, my wrists are just tied with rope. It's not as bad as I imagined, but I still can't move. My whole body is weirdly tingling, and I can't get up with my arms tied behind me. I wonder how long I've been here. Is there... No clock here. There's nothing in here to tell me what time it is. A window. There's a window behind me. I try to turn and get a look, but the curtains are closed, so I can't see outside. All I can say for sure is that the sun set. I ran into Elia in the morning, so it's been at least half a day. I don't have time for this. I have no idea where I am, but I need to get back to Saber as fast as I can. Saber's in a weakened state. I can't be even more of a burden to her by letting something like this happen. I try to make my arms move. If I'm going to escape, I have to do something about these ropes around my wrists. The door opens. I go still just as Elia enters the room.
やっと起きたんだ。おはよう、お兄ちゃん。体は大丈夫？
Elia's not acting at all like she did earlier. The coldness in her eyes is gone, and she's back to acting like the cheerful girl she's been at the park the other day.
どうしたの？なんか元気ないけど、まだ体は動かない？おかしいな。そろそろ声ぐらいは出せるはずなんだけど。
Elia peers into my face, looking puzzled. She seems genuinely concerned for me. I'm fine, I can talk, and my mind's clear enough to understand that I've been captured.
何よ、不満なの？捕まえた敵はね、本当は地下牢に入れておくものなんだよ。
Why do you have a basement cell?
けど、それじゃシローがかわいそうだから、特別に私の部屋に連れてきてあげたのに。
I don't know if that's good or bad, but at least I understand what's going on a little better. I'm getting a clearer picture of what happened. I've been captured, and this is where you live. I speak flatly, trying to kill my emotions. Until I understand completely what's happening here, I just need to listen.
そうだよ。前に言ったでしょ。私は森の後ろに住んでるんだって。ここは樹海の中の城で、周りには何もないわ。シローが住んでる町まで車で何時間もかかるんだもの。助けになんて来るはずもないし、絶対に邪魔も入らない。
I see. Okay, but why did you do this? If you were going to kill me, you could have done it at the park.
なんで？私、シローを殺す気なんてないよ。シローは私のだもん。他のマスターは殺すけど、シローは特別。だから誰も邪魔が入らないようにシローをここに閉じ込めたの。
I find myself recoiling. Elia pushes her face closer to me, ignoring my agitation. Elia, what are you... I know it's inappropriate, but the way Elia sits on my lap has my heart racing. Just the heart, right? I mean, this is inappropriate on so many levels. She may not be heavy, but the way she's sitting on my lap has me thinking kind of graphic thoughts. Okay.
やっぱりシロー
I
は特
didn't
別。
think you were actually gonna go there. Yep, I knew.
ねえ、私のサーバントになってみない？ シローが私のサーバントになってくれるならもう殺さなくて済むわ。シローがうんって言ってくれればそれでシローだけは助けてあげるよ。
Elia's words are so pure and heartfelt. I know that if I nod even once, it'll be a choice I can't unmake, and I will absolutely come to regret it. On the other hand, if I refuse, that purity will turn into pure wickedness. With Elia leaning so close, my mind grinds to a shrieking halt. She's not saying this just because she likes me. This is more like an interrogation, a matter of whether I want to live or die.
考えるまでもないでしょ。シローにはもうセイバーはいないんだもの。戦う手段なんてないわ。ならマスターでいてもしょうがないじゃない。
No, Saber hasn't disappeared yet, and I'm not going to let it happen.
けどそんな状態じゃ簡単に殺されちゃうよ。いいからシローはここにいればいいの。シローがずっとそばにいてくれるなら私もずっとシローを守ってあげる。
Elia presses close against me. I'm not sure what'll happen if I refuse, but I still can't agree. I can't. Step away, Elia. No matter what you say, Elia presses her index finger to my lips. She giggles in amusement and watches me in my bewilderment.
もう分かってないんだから。いい？今のシローはカゴの中の小鳥なのよ。生かすも殺すも私の自由なんだから、あんまり私を怒らせるようなことは言っちゃダメ。10年も待ったんだもの。ここでシローを簡単に殺しちゃうなんて、そんなのつまらないでしょ。
What? Elia talks like she's asking for a toy. The sheer cold-heartedness in her voice sends a shiver down my spine.
これで最後だよお兄ちゃん。もう一度だけ聞いてあげる。
Elia's eyes shine with hope.
シロー、私のものになりなさい。
Elia's tone is bewitching and brooks no refusal. Yeah, no. I don't need to even think about it. And heck, even I only have so much patience. Every single one of them is sure Saber's going to disappear. Saber won't disappear. I'm going to fight with her until the end. I can't let this destroy the oath we made. Elia, I can't do what you're asking me to. I have Saber. As long as Saber's around, I'm going to keep on fighting as a master. A soft gasp. For a second, her red eyes snapped open as if she'd just gone into rigor mortis.
そう。あなたまで私を裏切るのね、シロー。
Elia backs away. She looks down but maintains her composure.
いいわ。シローが私の言うことを聞かないなら、私今まで見逃してあげたけど、それもこれでおしまいなんだから。
Elia's voice is dripping with hostility now. There's something terrible lurking behind that malice.
待っていなさい。すぐに用を済ませてくるから。
Wait, what are you going to do, Elia?
何って、セイバーとリンを殺しに行くの。2人を殺してくれば、シローも少しは後悔するでしょ。
But don't be ridiculous. Saber and Tosaka have nothing to do with this. I'm only saying I can't be with you for my own reasons.
そうなの？けど、2人は殺すわ。それが終わったら、次はシローの番よ。私のものにならないのなら、シローなんていらないもの。
I hear Elia's footsteps moving off. Elia's serious. She really needs to go kill Saber and Tosaka. Stop, Elia! Saber and Tosaka have nothing to do with this. I'm the one you captured, so if you're going to hate someone, just hate me. You don't need to kill them.
理由はあるわ。 私以外のマスターは生かしておけないもの。それが聖杯戦争でしょ。
You dummy! Don't talk about killing people like it's so easy. You should never do that. You're a kid. You shouldn't even be thinking about this kind of thing. Elia stares at me in disbelief.
残念ね。私はもうマスターを殺してるんだよ、お兄ちゃん。
She sounds so joyful as she says it.
もっとも、それは昨日の話だけど、予想外といえば予想外だったかな。私、あいつはお兄ちゃんが手を下すって思ってたのに。
What? In that instant, I surprisingly understand exactly what she's talking about. Elia was in the building last night, which means she must have seen the master running for his life as the perfect prey. Elia, you didn't.
ごめんね。シローがやらないから私がやっちゃった。本当は横取りって好きじゃないんだけど。
She doesn't sound guilty at all. It probably meant nothing to her. It makes me realize something. I've probably known this since the moment we first met. She really doesn't know the difference between good and evil. That innocent laugh is just as much Elia as the merciless laugh I hear now. It's not that Elia has a devil on one shoulder and an angel on the other. Elia, however angelic she may look, is the devil.
それじゃあ行ってくるわ。帰ってきたらシローの番なんだから、せいぜい逃げ出す努力でもしていなさい。もっとも、カゴから逃げ出せないから、小鳥は小鳥なの。お兄ちゃんじゃ、この鳥カゴからは出られないでしょうけど。
Elia leaves. She's absolutely right, of course. She knows nothing of threats or tactics, so she just says what's true. But I can't stay here forever. I need to escape and meet up with Saber before Elia can attack her. Ugh. I shake myself, trying to loosen the ropes around my wrists. Maybe she really doesn't think I can escape. There's no one else here. If I'm not being watched, even I can manage to get out some ropes, but... Dang, I still can't. My body just won't listen to me. My limbs move, but they're heavy as lead, and just trying to move at all is exhausting. Elia knew I couldn't escape because of this. I can't move like this. Even if I get out of the rope, I won't be able to escape the room if I can hardly move. My whole body feels heavy, not because I'm tired. Yeah, I haven't been able to move since I looked into Elia's eyes. They must be mystic eyes. I hear truly superior mages can perform some sort of magecraft just by making eye contact with their target. Restraint is a common effect of mystic eyes, so that's probably what's going on here. Eyes are how we make take in visual information, and so are susceptible to suggestion and spells. And that is why most mages employ some sort of protection on their eyes to block out other mages' magecraft. Tosaka would be so mad if she found out all it took to paralyze me was a suggestion, not even a spell. Well, at least that was from mystic eyes learned through magecraft. Some monsters are born with mystic eyes and don't even need to lock eyes with their target. I hear all they need to do is look to use whatever ability they have, but it's also extremely rare for people to have powers like that. And luckily, Elia's mystic eyes aren't unique or special. They're just a means of sending magical energy at a target. And that means there has to be a way to dispel the effect. Elia's magical energy is invading my nerves, preventing me from moving. If I could get rid of that magical energy, that should fix my paralysis. It's simple. If there's a buildup of mud, then all I have to do is flush it out to clean it out. I close my eyes and focus inward on my own body. I may not have the skill to detect and remove foreign magical energy that's invading my body, but I don't need anything like that so long as I'm dealing with magical energy that hasn't become a curse and taken root in my body. If Elia's magical energy is lingering, stagnant in my body, I just need a strong flow of magical energy through my body to flesh it out. Sorry, it's crude, but it's all I can do. I apologize to my body for what I'm about to put it through. All I have to do is focus on my daily routine. The ritual where I force a foreign nerve down my spine. No, not anymore. I don't need to build it from scratch anymore. Now all I have to do is flip the switch in my head. Instead of creating a magic circuit within my body, I just have to switch my nerves into a magic circuit. Trace. On. I murmur the spell to focus myself. You don't use spells to change the world around you. They're to be used on yourself, to empower you to change the world. For mages, they're a way to initiate a kind of self-transformation. Spells are the first, most basic magecraft used to create a mystic just for you. A command that will only work on you. Basic structure, analysis. My blood flow accelerates. Power builds up in my blood. My body is becoming a machine for circulating magical energy. Probably thanks to the gem Tosaka made me swallow. Normally this would take me at least an hour. Now I'm able to do it almost instantly. Composition, analysis. I don't even need to flip the switch at this rate. I can just let the magical energy circulate it and let my hands go. Actually, I say flip the switch, but I still haven't found the switch to begin with. Heat rushes into me. I try to get control over my pounding heart, and my hands slip from the bucking reins. Blood squirts from my mouth. I must have opened a vein or torn something inside myself. I channeled enough magical energy to flush out the mud that has invaded me, so it's no wonder I'm throwing up blood. Luckily, I don't feel any pain. Maybe I'm not in pain because of that self-healing thing I have. It's an abnormality of my body that I still don't understand, but I'm delighted to have it at a time like this. The ability to heal any non-fatal wound is my biggest and only strength right now. I do need to be careful not to rely on it too much, though. Since I still have no idea how it works, relying on it too much risks losing it all. So I can't rely on miracles I don't understand. Okay, now there's just the rope. I undo the rope. My wrists were bruised, but I wasn't bound tightly enough to cut off circulation. I don't think Ilya tied me up, but I wasn't bound very tightly. Besides, I doubt it was Ilya who carried me in here anyway. Who here other than Ilya might not be all that strong? It definitely wasn't Berserker. If he tied me up, It definitely wasn't Berserker. If he'd tied me up, he'd have snapped my hands right off. I rise to my feet as I try to crack a joke. Ouch! I could control my body, but I pushed it too far. While I may not be injured, magical energy is raging through my body. Just moving around is likely to tear my insides up. It's probably the pain. Dizziness and nausea rack my entire body, and I have no feeling at the ends of my arms and legs. I'm not going to get home before Ilya gets back. Not like this. Why am I being such a coward? I don't have time for that kind of thinking. I slap my cheeks and start walking. What? As soon as I lean against the wall and start toward the door, I hear something on the other side of the wall. Footsteps. More than one set of footsteps. People are approaching my door and talking. They stop right in front of my door. Someone's on patrol? Dang, at the worst possible moment! There's no time to hide. I need to... I'm in no position to fight, and it's gonna look really, and the bed's probably gonna be the first place to check if they suddenly see I've gone missing. So I'll just still pretend I'm tied up. There's no time for me to hesitate. I can't possibly fight like this, so I need to be careful until I've recovered. There! I put my wrists together to make it look like I'm tied up. Ugh. The door opens. Could it be Ilya? Or someone else from the castle? I just need to remain sitting here, look like I'm bound up, right up to the very last moment when the person comes into the room and...
無事ですか、シロ。
My eyes widen. For a moment, I genuinely think I'm hallucinating out of sheer desperate hope.
縛られているのですね。すぐに解きますから、そのまま。
Oh, the ropes are loose. I bring my hands out front.
話が見えないのですが、シロはここで囚われていたのでは。
Well, I kind of got free, and then I heard someone coming as I was trying to get away, so I pretended to still be tied up.
なるほど。敵を油断させて、脱出を確かなものにしようとしたのですね。
Saber looks impressed. I am not going to tell her that I hadn't managed to think of anything farther than that. By the way, you're Saber, right? You're not some illusion? You're the real Saber? I stand up and touch Saber.
シロ、待ってください。そのように触られては。
Yep, you're real. But how did you get here?
どうしてなんて、そんなことは言うまでもないでしょう。サーバントがマスターを守るのに理由はいりません。シロが囚われたのなら助けに来るのは当然ではないですか。
I completely understand why. What I was asking was how. Well, but how did you know I got captured? Or actually, why are you here, Saber? This is Ilya's hideout. You shouldn't be coming over anywhere near her. You should be coming anywhere near her right now.
それは私のセリフです。あなたこそ何をやっていたのですか。一人で行動するなどあれほど言っていたのに、やすやすとイリアスピールに拉致され、このような場所に監禁されるなんて。シロはマスター失格です。この件については何らかの謝罪をしてもらわなければ気が済みません。
I know I was careless, but seriously, why are you here? You can barely move, so what were you thinking coming to Ilya's stronghold in this state?
あなたこそ何を考えているのです。サーバントはマスターを守るもの。シロが囚われたのですから、イリアスピールの本拠地だろうと関係はありません。
Saber is blunt as ever. She's exactly as she's always been. This isn't the weak, slumbering Saber from last night.
シロ、どうしたのです？急に黙り込んで。やはり捕まっている間に傷を負ったのですか？
No, that's not it. Don't worry about me, Saber. I'm just glad to see you're doing better. I'm genuinely relieved. I'm surprised to see Saber here, but I'm much happier to see that she's herself. I know it's selfish of me to think this way, but I think this is how Saber should be. I'm sorry, Saber. I don't fully understand, but you came to rescue me, right?
はい。サーバントとしてマスターを救うのは当然ですから。
Thanks. I'm really glad you came. What a relief. Everything sorted itself out. Now I just need to get out of here with Saber. Wait a minute. Is that Tosaka? Tosaka? Are you real? And are you really right here?
思ったより元気そうじゃない。これじゃあ私たちが出向く必要もなかったかしら。
だからそう言っただろう、リン。エミやシロなど放っておけと。この手の男はな、周りに迷惑をかけるだけかけて自分だけは生き延びるのだ。今回のはいい機会だった。
聞き捨てなりません、アーチャー。助力を頼んだのは私ですが、あなたにシロを侮辱する権利などないはずです。
いざ主が助かればそれか。マスターもマスターならサーバントもサーバントだ。協力者に対するありがたみなどないようだな。ま、いずれ戦う身だ。情など持たれない方がやりやすくはあるが。
He must have hit a nerve and Saber grew silent. This guy. is not just unfriendly to me, he treats Saber the same way.
そこまでよ。今がどんな状況なのか忘れてるわけじゃないでしょうね、あーちゃん。おしゃべりなんてしてる暇はないわ。イリアスフィールが戻ってくる前に撤退しないと。
Huh? Wait a minute. You came here knowing this is where Elia lives? And actually, Elia left saying that she was going to kill Tosaka and Saber. That means Elia and Tosaka passed by each other. That's a relief. I think Elia's heading to my place right now. If you guys hadn't come, you would have had to fight her there.
ええ、そうみたいね。イリアとバーサーカーが外に出たのは確認したわ。まあ、そうでもなければこんなところまで忍び込まないけど。
I get it. Saber and Tosaka only managed to pull something so bold off because they saw Elia leave. She's bold as ever, but this time, that brazenness worked to our advantage. I'm impressed.
とにかく話は後よ。ここがアインツベルンのアジトって分かった時は覚悟してきたけど、合わないならそれに越したことはないでしょう。セイバーがそんな調子じゃバーサーカーには太刀打ちできないしね。
Tosaka gestures for me and Saber to separate. Tosaka, what do you mean Saber's in no state? She's got her color back and she's acting like herself.
あなたね、そんな都合のいい話があるわけないでしょ。セイバーは全く回復してないわ。立っているだけが精一杯って見てわからない？
リン、それは黙っていると約束したはずです。
悪いわね、そんなの破棄よ。黙っていてもマイナスなだけだし、そもそも隠し通せる問題じゃないわ。
それはそうですが、しかし。
She sounds so pained, and now I see nothing has changed about her situation. Saber, is Tosaka telling the truth?
はい。リンの言うことは正しい。恥ずかしい話ですが、今の私ではセイバーとして戦うことはできません。できることといえば、シローの盾になることぐらいでしょうか。
そんなことだろうと思ったわ。武装もできないぐらい弱ってるくせに一緒に行くって聞かないんだもの。戦えない代わりにマスターをかばおうとでも思ったんでしょ。
What? She's so weak she can't even arm herself? She was willing to become my shield since she couldn't fight? What kind of absurd nonsense is she saying?
すまないシロー。このような体ではサーバント失格だとは分かっていますが、それでも盾の役割はできます。不服だとは思いますが、今はそれで。
Why does Saber never think about herself? Why is she only ever worried about everyone else? The heck with that! Of course I'm not happy. Tosaka, why did you bring Saber? Don't you realize Saber needs more help than me right now?
何よ、私だって反対したわよ。けどセイバーはどうしてもって聞かないし、そもそもセイバーじゃないとあんたの居場所は分からなかったわ。危険なのは百も承知だけど、それでもセイバーは必要だったの。
But you still... I want to tell her she shouldn't have brought sabers, but I stopped myself. I have no business criticizing. This is only happening because I went and got captured. Tosaka and Saber were just doing what they thought was right.
口喧嘩も結構だがな。今そこまでにしておけ、リン。マスターならば自分の住処の異常には敏感だろう。悠長に説明している暇はないぞ。
そうね、イリアスフィールのやつ今頃慌てて戻ってきている頃だものね。いいわ、話は後にしてあげる。今はこの城から出ることが先決よ。それでいいわね、シロ。
シロ、私たちも。
Yeah, but If Saber is as bad as she was last night, it'll be hard for her to even walk right now. I don't want to push Saber any harder than I have already.
まったくどうやら私も甘く見られたものですね。
Saber?
いくら魔力が尽きているとはいえ、今でもシロウよりは戦えます。私から見ればシロウの方こそ消えてしまいそうで怖い。リンは気がついていないようですが、体内の魔力が乱れているのではないですか。
Huh? Well, this is nothing. I can manage. Well, I'm totally fine, really.
では私もシロウと同じです。苦しいですが我慢しきれないものではありません。突然のことで状況がつかめないと思いますが、今はリンに従いましょう。話をするのならそれは家に帰ってからです。
Saber encourages me to go. I give up. She looks so serious, so determined that I can't worry anymore. You're right. There are tons of things I want to talk about, but they can wait until we all get home safely. I want to ask about Saber's condition, and I want to thank her for coming to rescue me. But now isn't the time to ask her about the dream I had. Okay, let's go, Saber. I nod and get moving as best I can. Every step is a supreme effort, but this isn't the time for whining. Even weakened as she is, Saber comes all the way here. Whoa. Is this a hallway? This corridor would be out of place in a museum. Ilia's castle must be massive.
ちょっと見とれてる場合じゃないわよ。この城から出ても外は一面樹海なんだから急がないと朝になるわ。
A forest? So are we really in the mountains? Are you talking about the forest that's a couple hours from Miyama by car?
そう、アインツベルンの隠し城よ。この城から出た後何時間もかけて森を抜けなくちゃならないの。今は夜だし朝日が昇るまでには森を抜けるわよ。
Tosaka heads through the hallway, not hesitating for a moment. She's probably heading toward whatever door they snuck in through. I figured it was night, but how long have I been here? I thought it was about half a day, but maybe it's actually been a few days.
シロウがイリアスフィールに囚われたのは朝方でしょう。それ日付は変わってしまいましたから、形の上では丸一日囚われていたことになりますね。
I see. Sorry.
いいえ、そのようなことはありません。イリアスフィールに捕まってこれだけの時間が過ぎたというのにシロウは無事でした。体は囚われの身でも心では負けなかった証ではないですか。
Well, that may be true, but...
ええ、イリアスフィールは少女に見えてもアインツベルンの魔術師です。もし彼女に屈していたのならシロウはシロウではなくなっていたでしょう。私とてその可能性を考慮しなかったわけではありません。最悪あなたは死んでいるものと覚悟してこの城に足を踏み入れたのです。だからここでシロウと再会できてよかった。マスターが無事な姿を見せているのですから私も負けるわけにはいきません。
I feel the same. I couldn't stand not knowing Saber was safe from her.
ちょっとやる気あるのかっていうのよ。もたもたしてると本気で先に行くからね。
Tosaka pops her head from the bend of the corridor to yell at us. Crud! This really isn't the time for us to chat. Let's hurry, Saber. I break into a run, urging Saber to do the same. Ugh. Everything hurts, but I grip my teeth and keep going. I drive my aching body on, following Tosaka. As I half limp, half run, Saber brings up the rear. She must be in a lot of pain too. She's pretending not to be, but she's in no condition for this. Saber, if it's hard for you, I want to tell her I'll give her a helping hand, but I stop myself. Saying that will just make Saber dig in her heels and be more determined not to accept help. All I can do is keep an eye on her. Once Saber's too exhausted to complain, I'll just carry her. Honestly, Saber can be incorrigible sometimes. She has to be forced to even take a break. And so, with Tosaka leading the way, we managed to get to the exit. Hey, you said this was an exit, but this isn't. But this is the entrance, Tosaka.
何当たり前のこと言ってるのよ。玄関っていうのはそういうものでしょ。入る時も出る時もここが一番手っ取り早いんだから。
Tosaka hurries down the stairs. Well, I'm in no position to complain. Saber and I head down the stairs and into the hall. It looks like a lobby. All we have to do now is head out through the big door at the other end of the hall and we're out.
よし、ここまで来たら大丈夫。問題は森に出てからだけど、まあ夜だし、闇に乗じて国道まで出られるかな。イリアスフィールが戻ってきて、シロがいないって気づいたところで、後の祭りよ。あいつが帰ってくる頃には朝になっちゃってるしね。何よ、シロ、その顔。いかにも服装だけど。
Nothing. Just kind of remembering how ballsy you are.
変なところでおかしな確認するのね、あなた。
Well, I was more getting at her just walking into the enemy stronghold through the front door.
まあいいわ。とにかく外に出ましょう。帰り道は覚えているから迷うこともないしね。
We head towards the entrance. A long, narrow hall extends from the lobby, and at the end of it is an enormous door. The hall is unbelievably about 30 meters long. I'm reminded that we're standing in an actual castle, but in the next moment...
なんだ、もう帰っちゃうの？せっかく来たのに残念ね。
Elia shouldn't be here, but her giggling voice echoes up and down the hall. I whirl around. Everyone skids to a stop. The instant we see our enemy, we know we're dead as soon as we turn our backs to them. Tosaka's voice trembles. Back at the other end of the hall, we see her standing at the top of the stairs we just descended. She shouldn't be here. Ironically, it's a similar arrangement to our first meeting. Elia is standing above us with Berserker behind her. Berserker's presence is overwhelming. Now that I can assess a servant's strength, I understand what a monster he really is. We can't do this. Even as Saber was at full strength, Berserker is just too powerful. It wouldn't even be a battle. That monster can't be beat, not in a fight. If we are ever going to beat Berserker, we have to figure out how to do it without fighting him. In other words, if we want to live, we need to stay far away from Berserker.
こんばんは。あなたの方から来てくれて嬉しいわ、リン。
Elia's voice is cheerful and bouncy. She's smiling that same smile I saw the night we met. Innocent but merciless. She won't settle to squash us like bugs. And that's when I realized, we're not going to escape. Period. No matter what I do, I can't stop Elia. Even if I try to draw out Elia's attention, that won't let Tosaka and the others escape.
どうしたの？黙っていちゃつまらないわ。せっかく時間をあげてるんだから、遺言ぐらい残した方がいいと思うな。
She giggles, but we don't have time for these kinds of games. We need to run to the entrance the second we find an opening. Even if we know we'll never get an opening, all we can do is wait and hope.
じゃあ、一つ聞いてあげる。
Even in this situation, Tosaka takes a step closer towards Elia.
イリアスフィール、あんたが戻ってきた気配はなかったけど、もしかしてずっと隠れてたのかしら？
そうよ。私はどこにも行っていないわ。私はね、 ここからあなたたちの道化ぶりを眺めていただけ。
そう、外に出て行ったのは偽物ってわけ。
ええ、あなたたちが来ることは分かってたもの。私は主人なんだから、お客様のおもてなしをしないといけないでしょ。
Right then, the giant vanishes. I'm not sure if it jumped or just moved. The next thing I know, Berserker appears in the middle of the lobby, creating a whirlwind. This is the end for us. If we retreat towards the entrance, he'll slice us in half with that axe sword the moment we turn our backs to him. But we're dead if we stay here too. Our only other option is to challenge that walking mass of death, however futile it'll be.
おしゃべりはおしまい。それじゃあ始めよっか、バーサーカー。
The pale girl raises her hand as if performing a ritual and looks down on us.
誓うわ、今日は一人も逃がさない。
Her declaration is equal parts murderous intent and delight. Berserker's eyes light up. Before, Berserker had moves only as Ilya ordered, but now he's free to act, and he identifies us as enemies. Something's making a grinding sound. Tosaka? Tosaka grits her teeth hard as if in regret.
あーちゃん、聞こえる？
Tosaka speaks quietly without turning.
少しでいいわ。一人であいつの足止めをして。
She just ordered her servant to his death. Archer doesn't answer.
バカな。正気ですかリン。アーチャー一人ではバーサーカーにはかなわない。
私たちはその隙に逃げる。あーちゃんには私たちが逃げ切るまで時間を稼いでもらうわ。
Tosaka continues giving her orders, ignoring Saber. Her voice is cold, devoid of any emotion. Archer, who had been silent as if pondering something, his eyes fixed on Berserker, gives a silent nod.
賢明だ。リンたちが先に逃げてくれれば私も逃げられる。単独行動は騎兵の得意分野だからな。
He takes a step forward as if to protect Tosaka. Berserker doesn't move. Ilya's laughter echoes from above.
へえ、びっくり。そんな誰とも知らないサーバントで私のヘラクレスを止めるって言うんだ。なんだ、案外可愛いとこあるのね、リン。
Neither Tosaka nor Archer are in any position to object. They know better than anyone. Archer steps forward. He's empty-handed as usual. Tosaka looks at Archer's back. There's nothing she can say to him. She must know her orders are absurd. They amounted to telling Archer to die so we could escape.
あーちゃん、私。
Tosaka is about to say something.
ところでリン、一つ確認していいかな。
Archer interrupts her, speaking so nonchalantly that it seems out of place.
いいわ。何？
Tosaka turns toward Archer, her eyes downcast. Archer's gaze stays locked on Berserker.
まあ、時間を稼ぐのはいいが、別にあれを倒してしまっても構わんのだろ。
It sounds completely ridiculous.
あーちゃん、あんた。ええ、遠慮はいらないわ。ガツンと痛い目に合わせてやって、あーちゃん。
そうか。ならば期待に応えるとしよう。
Archer walks forward, only 10 meters until he reaches Berserker. At this distance, it could close on Archer instantly.
バカにして。いいわ。やりなさい、バーサーカー。そんな生意気なやつバラバラにして構わないんだ
Elia's voice is hysterical. Tosaka turns her back, not paying attention.
行くわ。外に出ればそれで私たちの勝ちになる。
Tosaka grabs my hand, as well as Saber's, and runs. Saber doesn't object. She follows Tosaka. I start running toward the entrance, leaving Archer behind. But then, from behind me,
エミヤシロ
he calls out to me, his back still to me. I let go of Tosaka's hand and turn around. In the lobby, now a good ways from me, I see Archer's back as he faces down Berserker.
いいかお前は戦うものではなく生み出すものに過ぎん
Berserker draws near. Archer is still empty-handed, and he doesn't take a single step while he watches his enemy closing in.
余分なことなど考えるなお前にできることは一つだけだならばその一つを極めてみろ
Archer raises one hand. I have no idea what he's got it. When he got it, but he's holding a short sword now.
忘れるなイメージするものは常に最強の自分だ外敵などいらぬお前にとって戦う相手とは自身のイメージに他ならない
I see him start to shift. Berserker's sword sends a rush of wind ahead of him. I turn and run, not staying to watch the clash. Tosaka and Saber are already at the entrance. I run and I don't look back. The sight of the man in red made it clear that I needed to go. We hurry through the long hallway and out through the gate. Hard as it is to believe, we were really in a castle. And an old one at that, hidden deep in a forest. The whole place is surrounded by trees as far as one can see. I can't see any buildings or even the sky in the distance.
こっちよ。3時間もすれば国道に出られるからそれまで走って。
3 hours. Honestly, I'm not sure I'll last that long. I'm not tired, but the pain gets worse with every step. If I could at least rest, my fever might break. But we don't have time for that.
シロ、早く。
Tosaka sounds every bit as hurried. She'd given Archer his orders. As composed as she looks, I can see the regret weighing on her. I know. They're going to catch up. Saber, let's hurry.
はい。急ぎましょう、シロ。
Saber's eyes are downcast, but she breaks into a run with us. We follow Tosaka as she slips between the trees. Saber's breath rattles loudly in her chest as she runs beside me. It's too dark for me to see clearly, but I can tell she's struggling. I can't ignore it any longer. Saber loses her balance. I sweep in from the side and take hold of her before she hits the ground. That's it. You can't go on anymore, Saber.
何を言うのです、シロ。この程度の苦境、今まで何度も経験してきました。私はまだ十分に走れます。
What are you talking about? Experienced or not, you're still in pain now. Come on, you need to admit you're struggling. I pull her arm. Saber hardly weighs anything anyway. I gather her effortlessly into my arms.
何をするのです、シロ。
No questions. Just rest for a while. I'll be the first to fall if I have to keep watching you struggle like that.
無礼な、話しなさい。この程度で私が倒れるとでも思っているのですか。
Saber struggles in my arms, but her resistance is weak. Her thin arms have no real strength in them as she pushes at my chest. It pains me to see that's how weak she's got. I never imagined Saber could be too weak to push away from someone picking her up.
何を考えているのですか、シロ。このようなこと、いくらマスターといえど許しません。
Saber struggles against me, her face beat red. I can't really blame her. This must be a terribly embarrassing position for a knight to be in. But now isn't the time to worry about that. Lies. You're too weak to even push me away. This is an order from your master. If you won't listen, I'll have to use a command spell.
卑怯な。こんなことでレイジを使うなど、そんな無意を容認できるはずがない。
Then keep quiet. If we don't hurry, Tosaka is going to leave us behind. Saber must have given up as she reluctantly falls silent. That's good enough for now. As long as she's not struggling, I can carry her and run at the same time. Spots burst across my vision. As I run, my blood pumps faster. I try to fight down the nausea burning at the back of my throat, gritting my teeth with every step. My breathing is erratic, but I do all that I can to hold the pain at bay. There's a reason for that.
シロ、下ろしてください。やはり私も走りますから。
The moment she sees me struggling, Saber looks up at me, concerned. I can't stop now. Don't underestimate me. Carrying you is nothing. Compared to a broken stove, a girl's lighter than a feather.
ですが、
Just shut your mouth. Is give and take just not in your vocabulary? You've saved me plenty, so it wouldn't be fair for me not to do this. I need to pay you back for everything you've done, or else I can't have you protecting me tomorrow.
いえ、そんなことはないのですが、私の方こそこれでは釣り合いが取れなくなる。
Fine by me. Just means I'll only have to do something like this once. Besides, I'm starting to get motivated now. I take a breath and pick up the pace. Tosaka knows very well that I have Saber in my arms, but she keeps taking us through narrow and narrower paths. It's a good thing Saber's so light, but following Tosaka is a trial all on its own. If you keep talking, you might bite your tongue, so I'd appreciate it if you stopped.
はい。それではマスターの指示に従います。
Saber relaxes in my arms. She was tense earlier, which made carrying her harder. Now it's a bit easier. The problem now is whether Saber and I will make it to our destination. I don't know how long we've been running. Maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Running doesn't take a lot out of me. I've been training hard, and Saber's so light. But right now, there's something wrong inside me. The more I move, the dizzier I get. I feel like I'm about to throw up. I would have understood it if I'd been bitten by a snake and the poison was doing a number on me since we're in a forest, but this is nothing. This pain won't bring me to my knees. It's just a heaviness in my chest and a need to throw something up. And it's nothing compared to the heat I'm feeling in my arms right now. Saber's closed her eyes as if she were sleeping. She's not resting, she's relaxed. Her body is growing hotter by the moment. Her clothes are getting sweat, even though it's the middle of winter, and she's tucked her head down to hide her labored breathing from me. This is bad. At this rate, it'll be a repeat of that one night. The night Saber collapsed from exhaustion after using her Noble Phantasm against Ryder. Saber's condition hasn't changed since that night. Was she able to talk until now because she was just in the brief window before she disappeared? I run in an attempt to prevent that from coming true. I don't care what happens to my body. I move my feet as fast as I can, hoping that we can do something as long as we make it home. I fairly nearly trip and skid to a stop, leaning my back against a tree. I taste blood. So that's where the nausea's coming from. None got on Saber, since it was just a little bit, but the source of my nausea churns in my chest. Well, depending on how you look at it, this is actually better. Saber would be pretty upset about the waste of food if I threw up. Actually, knowing Saber, she might well cut me in half for it. Yeah, that's funny. The bit of levity lends me just a little more energy. Okay, break's over.
いいえ、無茶をするのはここで終わりです、シロ。
Saber? She wasn't asleep. Saber speaks up from where she lays in my arms. What do you mean I'm done?
ですから、 シロは一人で逃げるべきです。その体では私を連れて行くことはできません。
What the heck? I can't. I just tripped. This is nothing.
あるわよ。そんな死人みたいな顔で何言ってるんだか。
Hey, Tosaka's come back for some reason.
強がるのは勝手だけどね。いくら夜の森だからって口元の血ぐらい隠しなさい。それじゃあセイバーに心配されるのも当然よ。
よかった。リンがいるのなら話が早い。
でしょうね。セイバーの言いたいことはわかるわ。時間もないことだし、そこの大バカにもわかるようにさっさと言ってやって。
Saber nods.
はい。リン、私をここに置いていってほしい。私を連れていては逃げきれないし、何よりもう長くは持ちません。
I can't really insist she's being ridiculous. Neither of them needs to remind me how much worse Saber's getting. Saber won't last long. I have the sense she won't make it until morning, the way things are going.
そう。で、シロはこのままセイバーと心中する？
Of course not. I've got no plans to die or to let Saber disappear. If she's going to disappear, I'll use my command spells or whatever.
オーケー。それならいいわ。じゃあ両方とも解決しましょう。セイバーを助けて、ついでに3人でこの森から脱出する。今後の方針はそれで決まりね。
Huh? My brain feels like mushy tofu. Tosaka says darndest things, and always so casually. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I'd really like to do that, but we can't.
いいからこっちに来て。言っとくけど、私も簡単にセイバーを死なせる気はないわ。ええ、この機会は逃さない。あなたにはその責務を果たしてもらう。シローもいいって言ったし、そうしても構わないわよね、セイバー。
Tosaka looks towards Saber meaningfully. Saber doesn't answer. Instead, she averts her eyes awkwardly. Once we pass through the exceptionally tall trees, something unexpected comes into our view. A ruin?
ここならしばらく身を隠せるでしょ。来るときにね、アーチャーが見つけておいたのよ。万が一の時の隠れ家にしようって。
Oh, by the way, how's he doing? Trees choke the ruins. Only one of the rooms on the second floor remains more or less intact. The windows are miraculously undamaged, and the brilliant moonlight casts the room in its pale glow.
割合綺麗じゃない。もしかしたら最近まで誰かが寝泊まりしてたのかもね。
Nothing phases this girl. Tosaka steps over the rubble and pats the bed near the wall with both hands.
シローこっち。セイバーを寝かせないとまずいでしょ。人に抱かれているのって結構体力使うのよ。
Oh, yeah, I'll be right there. I lay Saber on the old beat-up bed.
どう？苦しい？セイバー。まだ体を動かすのには問題ない？
ええ、シローがここまで運んでくれましたから、まだ体を保っていられるようです。
そう。ならあとはこっちの問題だけか。あれから1時間、イリアスフィールが追ってくるにしてももう少し時間はかかるわ。探すのに手間取れば朝方ぐらいまでは隠れていられる。
Oh, she just reminded me of something. We've run as far as this ruin, but what happened with Berserker and Archer? He stayed in the castle to hold Berserker off. It's already been an hour. Archer should have retreated from the castle by now. Tosaka doesn't respond. She only presses her right hand to her heart, like she's clutching something precious. And that's enough to tell me what happened to Archer. Tosaka's command spell is on her right arm. A master and their servant are connected. In the same way Saber was able to detect when I was in danger, a master can sense whether their servant is alive or dead. Tosaka he.
まあね、足止めだけでいいって言ったのにさ。あいつ最後までキザだったな。
Silence falls between us. It feels like the silence will last forever, but then
けど無駄になんかしない。アーチャーを失った以上、バーサーカーはここで倒す。
the sound of Tosaka punching your hand into her fist breaks the silence.
悔やむのはここまでよ。悩んでいる暇があったら行動するのが私の信条。ここまで来たらあなたにも覚悟を決めてもらうからね。
Huh? What kind of decision?
決まってるじゃない。イリアスフィール、バーサーカーを倒す覚悟よ。セイバーを連れてたらこの森からは出られないし、彼女を自然に回復させるにしたって時間がかかる。どのみちイリアに追いつかれるわ。わかる？私たち3人揃って森を出るにはバーサーカーを倒すしかない。それができなければ私たちもアーチャーの後を追うだけよ。
Defeat Berserker? That monster? Defeat that invincible whirlwind of death? I can't imagine that being possible. If we fight, we die. Tosaka should understand that perfectly herself. Is her plan still to defeat him, even knowing that? No, that's wrong. What am I saying? Tosaka's not saying we can beat it. She's not so blindly optimistic. Yeah, got it. We're not going to beat him to win. I should have realized that from the very beginning. We have to beat him, don't we? That's all there is to it. If we don't want to die here, we have to defeat that monster.
そういうことよ。けどそれほど絶望的な状況ってわけでもないわ。いくらバーサーカーだってアーチャーと戦った後なら何らかの傷を負っているはずよ。私だってとっておきの宝石を全部持ってきてるし、セイバーさえ回復すれば打開策の一つや二つは作り出せるわ。
So are we going to see that fight between Archer and Berserker, or is that an anime-only thing?
逆に言えばね、バーサーカーが傷を負っている今こそイリアスフィールを倒せる最大の機会だと思わない？
But is there a way to heal Saber? This isn't the best place to treat her.
ううん、セイバーの治療に場所は関係ないわ。セイバーは単に魔力切れで弱っているだけだもの。一定量の魔力さえ補充してあげれば、あとは以前通りの能力を発揮してくれる。
Tosaka's explanation reminds me of late last night. She said that Saber's magical energy was mostly gone, which is why to restore Saber's magical energy.
いい？セイバーを助けたいなら、セイバー自身に人を襲わせて魂を食べさせるしかない。なら答えは一つよ。レイジを使いなさい、エミネ君。それで最悪の事態は避けられるわ。
I have 2 command spells left. I'll use one to make Saber attack people so she can devour their souls to replenish her magical energy. If Saber won't recover, we can't defeat Berserker. If we can't defeat Berserker, then he'll kill us. I look at Saber where she lies. Just letting her suffer at this point, but no, I still can't agree to let Saber attack innocent people.
ええ、今回は私も同意よ。
Huh?
これが他の場所だったらその提案をしたでしょうけどね。でもここはイリアスフィールの庭の中、人の魂なんかどこにもない。あの城の中にはバーサーカーとイリアスフィール以外の誰かがいるかもしれないけど、それを探しに行くのはミスミス七に赴くようなものよ。
So wouldn't that make you the only person, the only viable sacrifice in this situation? Yeah, I can see why you'd be against it. Saber to eat souls, we'd have to be out of this place, so that's not going to happen right now. Tosaka nods. I'm relieved not to have to make Saber attack people, but then how are we supposed to replenish Saber's magical energy? So what do we need to do, Tosaka? This whole problem comes from me not being able to provide Saber with magical energy.
方法はあるわよ。その昨日ってもう一昨日に説明したでしょ。サーバントに魔力を分け与える方法は共有の魔術とそれ以外にわずかな方法しかないって。あの時はまあこんな状況になるとは思わなかったから言わなかったんだけど。
I try to think back to our conversation that night. Now that she mentions it, she said something like,
まあ召喚時にセーバーとパスが通っているはずだからまだ方法があるかもしれないけど。
I think that's what Tosaka said. I remember now. You said something about a path and that there's some other method besides magecraft. Right? Or did I get it wrong? At the time, I was shocked to learn that I had to make Saber attack people, so I might have misheard her. Tosaka, is there another way?
まあね、私がサポートできる範囲で2つ。この状況だと荒っぽい方になるわ。いい？セイバーの魔力不足は素人のパスが不完全だからよ。彼女を回復させるにはこのパスを完全な形に通し直すしかない。
That's probably the best solution, but I don't know how to do it. Saber's summoning was messed up from the start. If I had been able to make a connection to supply her with magical energy, we wouldn't be in this mess.
話自体は簡単よ。素人セイバーを共感状態にして霊的なパスをつなぎ直すだけ。契約はそのためにセイバーにシローの魔術回路を移植するの。
Transplant my magic circuits into Saber?
セイバーとシローのパスを新しくするには霊的に重要な器官を移植するしかないわ。サーバントとマスターが聖杯の力を借りているのならそれに匹敵する強い結合を生み出さないとパスは通らない。そのためにはマスターの魔術回路をサーバントに移植する。それくらいやらないとシローの力がセイバーには届かないから。
Magic circuits, an indispensable mechanism for mages that use O to activate mana. It's the core of a mage's existence, and without it, the magical energy that serves as the source of a mage's power can't be created. To a mage, their magic circuits are more important than life itself. They see them as the thing that gives their existence value.
サーバントの回路をマスターに移植するのは危険すぎるわ。ゴーストライナー、それも英霊の回路は死にゆく人の体に移しても強烈な拒絶反応しかもたらさない。そうなると残された手はシローの回路をセイバーに移植するしかないってこと。でもそれは張り巡らされた神経を引きちぎられることと同じよ。そうなればその負担は
entirely on the one offering the transplant. Ripping out nerves is the same as amputating fingers or even arms.
待ってください、リン。それはあまりにもシローに。
そうしないと誰も生き残ることはできない。あなたなら分かっているはずよ、セイバー。
I gulp as quietly as I can. I have to get my priorities straight. We don't have time for me to hesitate when what needs to be done is clear. Tosaka, can you make this work?
成功させるわ。でも成功させることはそのまま安全につながるわけじゃない。失敗させるつもりはさらさらないけど、成功すればシローの魔術回路はセイバーに奪われる。むしろ失敗した方がいいんじゃないかって思えるほどの喪失感と苦痛を生むでしょうね。もし魔術回路を奪われればそれはシローが
It would mean that my secondary nerve, my missing magic circuits, would be like a piece torn from my psyche. It would damage the spiritual body's integrity, creating a fatal flaw in me as a mage. I will never regain that missing piece for as long as I live. My hope of becoming a full-fledged mage from experience alone will die. Once I lose my foundation, my magic circuits, I will always be incomplete, no matter what. I nod for my own sake. Is that all? I'd rather save Saber. Okay, let's do it, Tosaka.
早っ。決断が早いのはいいけど、本当にどういうことなのか分かってるの？
I do. You already told me.
分かってるわけないじゃない。いい？セイバーを救うために、私はシローに魔術師として死ねと言ってるようなものなのよ。なのにどうしてそんなに反論もしないでうなずいて。
Because I don't have any objections. I'm agreeing because it's the best plan we have. You should be more confident in your own plan. Seeing you panic like that is making me worry. And if we don't do this, Saber can't fight Berserker, right?
そうよ。そうだって言ってるじゃない。
See? And it's not like we haven't made any sacrifices. We have to fight and win because he bought us time. His stance told me to go. I didn't like him, but if he was willing to risk his life to protect his master, Tosaka, I can't back out now.
いいわ。始めましょう、シロ。
Yeah. Are you ready, Saber? We're going to translate my magic circuits to you.
はい。それがマスターの判断なら。
I hear neither affirmation nor denial in her voice. But her eyes seem filled with regret. I guess Tosaka is going to prepare us for the transplant. I don't know the procedure, so I just have to leave it all to Tosaka.
まずはセイバーからね。シローを魔術回路をオンにしたまま、できるだけ心を乱さないように待機していて。
I close my eyes and switch over the artificial nerve in my body. Thanks to Tosaka's instruction, I've been able to turn my circuits on and off effortlessly. A red flower entangles the white flower. Tosaka climbs up to straddle Saber, who lies still. Then she begins to run her fingers freely across the certain curves of Saber's slender form. Tosaka, what are you doing to Saber?
何って、セイバーにもリラックスしてもらおうと思って。セイバーが力を抜いてくれないと成功率が下がっちゃうし。
Oh, okay. Sorry, continue.
ええ、どうも。それじゃあ服を脱ぎましょうか、セイバー。
This is the Rialta Nua version, right? What?
いちいち驚かないの。脱ぐって言っても一部だけよ。魔術回路の移植は精神と体の融合よ。できるだけ接触を多くして遮蔽を少なくしなきゃいけないでしょ。
Tosaka is completely calm about this. Saber and I are the only two who are flustered about this as Tosaka begins undoing Saber's collar.
待ってください、リン。それでしたら自分ででき。
腕を上げるのも辛いくせに強がらないで。はあ、それともエミヤくん、マスターの責務としてセイバーを自分で脱がせたいとか。
I want to call her a fool, but I snap my mouth shut. All jokes aside, I'm not suited to a task like that. If I had to do it, I wouldn't be able to maintain my composure. Sorry, I'm leaving everything to you.
よろしい。そういうわけだからシロも脱ぎなさい。は、上着脱ぐだけでいいから。下まで全部脱いだら殺すからね。
Oh good, I feel so much better. I can't tell if she's joking or being serious. It seems like I need to strip to connect with Saber, though.
シロ、お願いです。しばらく背を向けていていただけないでしょうか。
Oh, got it. Tell me when you're ready. I turn away and fold the shirt I was wearing. I try to distract myself and hide how nervous I am by folding the shirt up neatly, sleeves and all.
大丈夫セイバー？
はい。だいぶ楽になりましたが。
I need to calm down. I try to get my fear under control as I find myself dreading how painful and difficult the magic circuit transplant will be and how it might fail. This is just a step along the path. I should be more worried about the fight with Berserker that comes after this.
いいわよ、シロ。
Okay. I forget to breathe. I've seen her bare skin before, but I've never seen Saber like I'm seeing her now as she lies in bed. It must be all this tension in the air. It's not just me. Saber's acting weird too. She acted normal when I saw her bare skin before.
シロ、こっち。ここに上がってセイバーに覆いかぶさって。
It's like someone else is controlling my body. I'm walking towards the bed, but it doesn't seem real to me.
セイバー、同調までは私がやるわ。それからあとはあなたにお願いするけど、持っていきすぎないように注意して。少なければ少ないほどシローの負担は減るから。
わかりました。お願いします。リン。
I have no idea what they're saying. Right now, it's all I can do to breathe. We get even closer. We're so close our skin is almost touching. I feel Saber's weak breath on me. I support my weight on my hands. My body's so close to hers.
変革準備。実質。ボウが接続開始。
The chant begins. I try to focus my consciousness on what's happening, to clear my mind so I can sympathize with Saber.
小さく、小さく、小さく、小さく。円環航路開始。
I only see Saber's face. She's already in a meditative state. I can't keep my eyes open forever. I reluctantly close my eyes.
大きく、大きく、大きく、大きく。愛路行動、連続閉鎖。
My senses begin to fade. It's the same floating sensation as when I create my magic circuit every night. The feeling of my ego, my mind leaving my body. This time, though, it's running in reverse. Normally, I feel that sensation coming from my back, but right now, my consciousness is escaping from my chest. The five senses are functions associated with the physical body. The moment my consciousness leaves my body, I lose my sense of hearing. But my ears are more sensitive to Saber's breathing. Her slow, steady breathing begins to speed up. I hear the heart pounding in my chest. Blood rushes through my veins. I leave the vessel known as Shirou Emiya and slide into her body. My consciousness sinks deeper into her. My self swirls and converges, invading her as a solid crystal. Pulsing, hot breath. Our hearts, not our bodies, touch.
シロ。
Her voice rings out like a bell. And in response, my essence escapes my physical body. I've been going for a second. My senses are transformed. I have no hands, no legs, no self, but I continue on in this bare state. Time seems to flow backward. Instead of flying, I feel as if I'm being left behind. I accelerate. The body, persona, order, Law? I become an arrow, shattering every barrier around me, destroying the boundaries that separate one person from another. Sparks race along the circuit. I freeze in the ecstasy of reaching the speed of light. They say a person's life flashes in a single instant. The flashbacks are cruel. Every instant passes by in the blink of an eye. I can't look at it directly, so I find myself going emotionally numb. So this is a mental journey. I'm reminded just how comforting our physical bodies, our anchors, can be. I visualize the foundation of magecraft. The human operation is quantified. Hundreds of institutions, millions of joints form a circle. The endless complex patterns are in fact just a highway formed by simple repetition, all heading into the vastness of the future. It's like a vehicle of some kind heading toward the darkened city of light. Here, in the present, my thoughts pass by at the speed of light. Eternity passes in an instant. I pass through the last boundary. I break through, and I am inside her. I see a glimpse of Artoria's magic circuits, not my own. The changes are extreme. The speed and light of the world vanish all at once. Here it is dark. Here it is heavy. The pressure of it pushes against my bodiless form. The air so thick I may as well be underwater. My body sinks, feeling only the agony of being clamped in a vice. The path is steep, and I can't see the bottom. I feel myself fall through the thick twilight, plummeting deeper into an even denser darkness. It seems impossible that just a moment ago I traveled 10,000 miles in the blink of an eye. Now, even going through it and going a single mile seems like it would be an arduous, eternal journey. I feel neither light nor hope. Are these really Saber's magic circuits? They're completely different from mine. The shape of the circuits, the number of pathways, all that differs from person to person, but this is unlike anything else. This isn't a matter of scale or ability. Saber's magic circuits are fundamentally different than a mage's. The path rumbles. Every time it does, my tiny self nearly shatters. I don't know what Saber's magic circuits are like, but I can tell the sympathizing magecraft is functioning properly. This is not a failure. The dark, heavy pressure of this place doesn't seem like Saber, but it's also not an impure place. It's brimming with life. The flowing air is blood and a swirl of magical energy. I realize I've forgotten to breathe. I haven't needed to. Sinking is painful, but it's not life-threatening. I look up into the darkness I've sunken into, but I seem to be past the point of no return. I can't see anything in this darkness. I'm submerging gradually, but the distance ahead is infinite. The air grows even heavier. My rate of descent slows yet again. I squint into the darkness. The seemingly endless road does have an end. I feel the heat of Saber's body. I feel her every breath, so close. The final destination. I reach the source of Saber's magic circuits, the center of her mental world. But what I see is beyond my capacity to understand. It's the core of a star. I've reached the embodiment of some impossible scorching heat breathing from the depths of the earth. The fiery red surface swirls, and then there's a splash like stagnant mud. At the bottom, there lurks a giant shadow, its fiery eyes fixed on the tiny intruder. Whether its master gave the intruder permission to enter or not, it is still a foreign invader. In the face of this core, my own consciousness is barely a mote of dust to disturb its function, or a piece of wood to feed its fire. I gulp, even though I have no throat to swallow with. I take in the entire scene. These are Saber's magic circuits, a heart beyond anything human, so different from ours, which we imagine as lines and circuits. This is a reactor core. If a mage's body is a machine for creating magical energy, then what I'm seeing now is an entire factory. But the core is inactive. The key that should activate the core, the spark of power to bring the whole thing to life, has been cut off. Despite the overwhelming ability this core has to produce massive amounts of magical energy, it lacks the initial charge to activate itself. It floats overhead, a stagnant sea of fuel. No matter how much undiluted magical energy fills this endless space, it's useless. It needs to ignite. Even a tiny spark could do the trick. So long as the pathway for magical energy is connected, the core will roar back to life. And to do that, something beyond human knowledge awakens. Pathways running over the lake of magical energy begin to swirl. Red air explodes upward in a raging pillar. Is this what it's like to stand in a thundercloud? So intense is the roar of the raging waves that I don't even properly hear it. In the same way something too massive can't be properly seen, the roar is its own kind of silence to me. What appears at the heart of that blazing core is the embodiment of every threat mankind carries in its heart. And it still looks better than the CGI version we saw in the anime. It has been said that the king is a red dragon that symbolizes Britain. Phantasmal blood runs in their human veins, the child of a sacred star. A dragon, a ruler, the symbol of so many phantasmal species, objects of both awe and fear, the pinnacle of all beasts, appearing at times as a demon, at times a god. This is what lies in Saber's subconscious. Its otherworldly forms suits the servant said to be the best. The cauldron opens. Vicious fangs are all I see. There can be no resistance. Humans, which paled to insignificance before this, could never defend against it. No human intelligence could ever conceive of a way to escape. Oh! It must be famished. It devours its prey, which would normally seem as inconsequential as motes of dust with its bloodshot eyes. And I am at a complete loss for words. I wonder, why do we not eat living meals? It's obvious. We cannot bear to see our food alive. We prefer fresh food. But rarely do we eat anything alive because we feel it's cruel for our food to suffer. In other words, killing the meat we consume before we eat it is our way of preserving its dignity. A scream of rage tears its way from my throat. I forget who I am and roar like a beast. I try to appeal to the beast. The hatred builds within me. My only resistance is bearing my emotions. I beg for mercy like a crucified sinner as I round to meal. my consciousness grows hazy, muddled. Every purpose and meaning in my life falls away. Any hope of retaining my sanity is as long gone as any hope of retaining my sanity is as long gone as creation itself. The pain, the pressure, they're far, far too much. And then, when I came to see it only as a monster, even once I'd learned of this nightmare, I believed I could endure it. The image of Saber, her head hanging low, comes back to me. I recall the meaning of this pain. That meaning drives me forward. It's a literal painful reminder of what I came here to do. I draw in a deep breath and let go of my resistance. It's not the dragon's fangs I should be fighting, but the pain twisting through me. I'm not here to run from the pain. I'm here to save her pain, to live up to the trust she's placed in me time and time again. And so, I'm here to give her the best thing that I, who has no hope of fighting, can give. The pain is indescribable. I can't reach out to my ground down consciousness. I hone my awareness like a blade, silently as if I were asleep. Here, eternity is but an instant. As long as I can endure this pain, even for an instant, my consciousness will remain. Alright, then. I won't let myself feel an ounce of fear. I shall dedicate this pain to you, who will be the one to fight. The red dragon is gone, and my consciousness gradually floats back to the surface. Am I weightless because I lost something? As if I'm floating back to the water's surface? As if I'm floating back to the water's surface, I feel myself begin rising up, above the reactor. But wait, there's something I want to check before. It's so warm. A dull, throbbing hum issues from the reactor as it burns with golden light. The elaborate magic circuits shine with a rainbow hue and begin their circulation. The fire is lit. I may be an untrained amateur of a mage, but today I filled my role as her lord. I surrender my body to the wind and float up. Catch a glimpse of a distant memory. A figure holding a sword, and a figure standing in a grassy field that dances in the wind. Which one did I find reminiscent? Achievement unlocked. I feel sunlight on my eyelids and slowly open them. Dazed and confused, I check over my own body. My arms and legs are fine. I don't see any wounds. Maybe the pain faded the moment I was able to endure it. My physical wounds and even the mental scars seem to have been healed.
Shirou.
I hear a weak voice from under me. Huh? The feeling of her soft skin immediately makes me realize who's speaking and the position we're in. Ouch! Saber's lying on the bed with her blouse in disarray, while Tosaka is sleeping, cradling her knees to her chest. Tosaka may be fine, but Saber's been under me like this the whole time. Morning, Saber.
はい。おはようございます、シロ。
We exchange awkward pleasantries. Saber slowly gets up and rearranges her blouse. Crud! We were so embarrassed we can't look each other in the eye. You can already get up, Saber. You can already get up, Saber?
はい。 魔力の供給を受けられるようになりましたので。
She seems to be back to her normal self. When I carried her here last night, she was so weak, it seemed like she might disappear at any moment. But that weakness is gone now. I see. That's a relief. So the magic circuit transplant worked.
はい。ですからその服を着ていただけませんか、シロ。その格好のままだと私もなぜか話しづらい。
I looked down at myself. Oh, right. Yeah, you're right. I hastily reached for my neatly folded shirt. That was nice of Tosaka to fold it up like that. Wait, no, I did that! Why did I fold it so tight? I vividly recall last night's ritual. I connected with Saber, and Tosaka transplanted my magic circuits deep within Saber. Saber looks like she's back to normal, but what happened to me? Tosaka warned that my body and mind may not be able to handle the loss of magic circuits, but I don't feel much damage or any huge sense of loss. I was a little scared, but I checked my own magic circuits myself. The idea of seeing for myself just how much I've lost is terrifying, but we're heading into battle against Berserker. I need to understand my own condition. Huh? I don't know how to explain it. The overall function of my magic circuits feels sluggish, but there doesn't seem to be any obvious damage. I was chewed to pieces, but my magic circuits are still intact. It looks like I'll still be able to do my strengthening magecraft. I see, so that means... I assume the magic circuits I rarely used were the ones Tosaka took. I only activate about 1 to 4 circuits when I do strengthening. Since I can't do large-scale magecraft anyway, I never fully activated all my circuits. So she transplanted the circuits I don't use to Saber.
シロ。
I close my eyes to assess my situation. It seems this won't affect my strengthening magecraft. But this sluggishness, like I'm wading through water, is because my capacity for magecraft is decreased. In exchange, though, I feel that I'm connected to something something important deep inside myself. I can't tell exactly where it's coming from, but there's a faint line that connects me and Saber. I've gained something truly important in exchange for my lost circuits.
申し訳ありません、シロ。
Saber speaks up from somewhere behind me.
シロの回路を得る際に必要最小限にとどめるよう努力はしました。ですが、その最低限の量ですら人から得るには多すぎた。もしやシロに消せない傷跡を残してしまったかと思うと、謝罪のこれは私の不覚です。私が書くも力足らずでなければ、シロには。
That's not true. You have nothing to apologize for, Saber. This all happened because I couldn't supply you with magical energy in the first place. That's solved now, though. Now I can give you the magical energy you need without a problem. Yep, now I can finally proudly say that I am Saber's master.
ですが、シロ。
Don't worry about my magic circuits. I didn't use them all anyway. I even feel better without them, actually. Saber's expression remains clouded. Crud, I never knew what to say. I never know what to say at times like this. Saber's recovered, and I survived even after the loss of some of my magic circuits. Saber's magic circuits, the dream of light and wind in Saber in her youth, and on top of that, we spent the night touching skin to skin. Calm down, calm down. That was a ritual for our survival. I need to calm my mind. If I don't focus, I could mess up during battle. The sleepy rhythm of Tosaka's breathing halts and she grunts. Looks like Tosaka's awake too.
おはようございます、リン。
Yo! Morning, Tosaka. I see Tosaka's hair shift, then her head tilts up. She's not a morning person at all. It doesn't look her usual sharp self. At all. Thanks, Tosaka. It worked.
はい。私の魔力の補充はできました。ですがその代わりシロに。
No, I only lost about 30%, so don't worry. I can make do with what I still have.
3割ですか。なんとか最初にとどめたというのに、それでも3割とは。我がことながら、なんと強欲な。
Greedy, you say? I know you were hungry, but I wish you had a little better manners. Tosaka joining us helps dispel the awkwardness between Saber and me. Now we're back to normal.
そう、じゃあいいわね。
Tosaka yawns and gets to her feet. It's almost time for the battle. Somewhere in that forest, Berserker and Elio await. If we don't defeat that hurricane of death, everything we did last night was for nothing. The connection that we created between me and Saber, deep in our hearts, to protect what we created, we'll have to defeat the most powerful enemy of all. Interlude 11-1. Fate. Their battle comes to an end. The two fought fiercely, and it ended with the disappearance of the Red Knight. Now a shadow of its former glory, the reception room is in ruins. The floors are cracked and broken. Many of its walls have been knocked down. The stairs have collapsed, and broken marble is scattered across the floor. There's hardly a trace of the reception room's original form. Some might even say time itself has been stolen from this space. After such vast destruction, the scene bears no resemblance to what it was just 2 hours ago. A sculpture, well suited to such destruction, stands in the middle of it all. Standing over 2 meters tall, it bears the crude likeness of a man, as if roughly hacked out of stone. It hardly bears mentioning. This is Ilias Biel's servant, Berserker. The giant doesn't move. Its entire body is splattered with red, with several holes torn through it. Not a single inch of the giant's body isn't wounded. 1, both legs appear on the verge of collapse. 2, a massive gash on its neck. 3, arms practically hanging off their elbows. 4, something has pierced it from shoulder to groin. 5, blood gushes from its chest. 6, its belly is torn apart. Berserker is not moving. He will. It's clearly a corpse. The battle itself lasted less than an hour. The result? Unexpected. Berserker's master is beside herself. She should be picking off what remained of her prey, but instead she just stands there, staring at the devastation.
信じられない。何だったのよ、あいつ。
Her voice is a low mumble now. The battle came as a humiliation to her. Her servant is the most powerful. Among all heroic spirits, maybe 1 or 2 could compete with Heracles, the most renowned hero of all time. And yet, some unknown archer defeated him. The Red Knight fought on equal ground with Berserker, and in the end even killed Berserker, which nobody else had even thought possible. And for that, he can never be forgiven. To Ilya, it is as if she had just been stabbed in the heart by a passing insect. She prided herself on being the strongest master. For her to lose to the sort she should have so casually trampled must be unthinkable.
ああ、もう頭にくる。あんなやつに6回もやられるなんて手を抜いてたんじゃないでしょうね、バーサーカー。
For those who know how Berserker's Noble Phantasm already works, 6 down, 6 to go. The statue doesn't answer. It has neither the time nor the need to do so. Berserker stands still, focusing on healing himself. Even for him, it was an unusual battle. His Noble Phantasm nullifies any attack. So long as the attack is not of the highest possible class, it won't so much as scratch him. As such, he rarely sustains any wound. In his own time, none could harm him after he attained greatness. But here, now, he's been hurt 6 times. Archer delivered 6 fatal blows. Each of his attacks was of a different sort. That is because even the strongest attacks won't work twice on Berserker. Strange as this battle was, the most truly bizarre part was, if Archer was a hero with so many different abilities, his identity should have been obvious. But even after his body was pulverized, Archer's identity remained a mystery. What was really surprising was how he carried himself in a way that seemed contradictory as a servant. A faint light flickers in the pupils of Berserker's eyes. Were Berserker a normal, rational servant, he would probably feel pretty bad about how this battle went. Whatever his identity might have been, Archer was a rare and formidable adversary. If only Berserker's sanity hadn't been taken from him, he would have fought to his heart's content and maybe even enjoyed himself.
許さないんだから。よくもここまで私を侮辱してくれたわね。
Elia's voice echoes in the shattered hall. Whatever tiny embers of rationality might have been returning to him are immediately snuffed out by her voice. He's just Berserker now. His role is to overwhelm and annihilate his master's enemies.
傷は治ったの？バサカ！
Berserker doesn't need to answer. So long as the wound doesn't kill him, he'll heal in moments. But to completely recover from this would take as much as 3 days.
そんなに待てない。もういいわ。今すぐあいつらを殺しに行くわよ。
The giant silently objects. It's almost instinctive. At least when it comes to a fight, Berserker has instincts similar to Saber's. He can certainly destroy his enemies easily enough. But if Saber has recovered enough that she can use her Noble Phantasm, that will be a different story. Berserker will not fall to a mere sacred sword, but there is always that small chance of something going wrong. His instincts tell him that he should be completely prepared before facing this serpent.
何よ。5つもあれば十分じゃない。あんな奴ら、ゴッドハンドなんかなくたって敵じゃないもの。それとも何？ここまで私たちをバカにした奴らを見逃してやるっていうの？バーサーカー。そうでしょ？誰一人として私の森からは逃がさないわ。うん。ミンとセーバーはバーサーカーにあげるね。殺すなりもてあそぶなり好きにしていいわ。
Elia hops down from the stairs. She walks through the rubble to the exit without a moment's concern for Berserker, blooded as he is. But suddenly, she stops, as if remembering something.
さあ、狩りを始めましょう、バーサーカー。だけど、セイバーのマスターは簡単に殺しちゃダメだよ。シローには一番ひどい死に方をさせてあげるんだから。
Elia heads out of the castle, giggling happily. The sun is about to rise. Elia knows the forest like the back of her hand. She won't have any trouble finding her prey, even if they try to hide. Her targets have only minutes to live. Interlude out. So yeah, we're not getting that fight between Archer and Berserker. And I don't know why, but I'm forced out of the ruins. Tosaka kicks me out, saying that girls have to make some adjustments and changing and stuff like that. Dang, what is she talking about? Men have things to do. Men have things too, you know. I lean against a wall as I grumble. I guess I sound like a sore loser, and that's exactly it. I remember, and then I try to shake off my desires. I can't think about that right now. If I keep lingering on my memories with Saber, I'm a dead man. More than anything, it would be rude to Saber. I made a contract with Saber to Saber. I shouldn't have any other feelings for Saber. What a crock. It's such a pathetic excuse, even I don't believe it. I can't forget what happened with Saber, but I need to, for now. Honestly, I don't have time to worry about that kind of stuff. Our concern right now is how to fight Berserker. Right. I should be doing whatever I can. He told me that there at the end. I think back to Archer. I never warmed up to him, but every word he said stuck with me. I stare at a tree branch. There's only so much I can do. I may not be much help, but I'm going to do whatever I can, as best I can. For starters, I snap off a nearby tree branch. Then I try to find other street branches.
シロー、終わったから入ってきて。
Tosaka's voice reaches me in my search. I head back to the ruins, carrying the branches I collected. Well, the only other problem is whether I can act anything approaching normal around Saber after looking into her heart, however briefly.
こちらです、シロ。リンから話があるそうです。
I guess I was worrying over nothing. Saber is her usual self. Unlike me, immature as I am, she's probably just approaching this pragmatically. Oh, yeah, I'll be right there. Dang, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm so dumb being the only one blushing over this, so I'm gonna do my best to keep my composure.
来たわね。それじゃあ作戦会議を始めるけど、会議って言っても口論し合う暇はないわ。バーサーカーを倒す方法も限られているし、とりあえず私の話を聞いてもらえる？
Saber and I nod.
作戦としては単純よ。まともな方法じゃバーサーカーとは勝負にならない。勝つためには奇襲。仕掛けたのなら反撃させずに一撃で首を落とすのが絶対条件だと思う。
同感です。バーサーカーと打ち合ったところであれには致命傷を与えられません。倒すのならば打ち合いの外から決すべきでしょう。
Besides trading blows? Are you saying we need to attack Berserker before he realizes he's being attacked? Well, sure, I think it's reckless to go toe-to-toe with him, but that just sounds reckless. He's not the sort to just let something like that happen.
ええ、バーサーカーに気づかれずに近寄るなんて都合のいい作戦はやらないわよ。あっちにはイリアスフィールがいるんだもの。少なくともセイバーとシローの気配は簡単に感知されるわ。私は気配を隠せるから大丈夫だけど。
I don't understand the logic, but I get the sense Ilya can detect me and Saber. And if Tosaka's the only one who can conceal herself, you're not saying that you'll be the one launching the ambush, are you?
当然でしょ。一番に狙われてるのはシローなんだし、この中で一番動きやすいのは私だもの。隙をついて後ろからバッサリやるのは任せなさい。
You make it sound easy, but you know it won't be.
そりゃそうよ。だからセイバーに隙を作ってもらうの。セイバー、体はどのくらい回復した？
通常戦闘ならば問題はありません。ですが宝具の使用は避けるべきです。今の魔力ではおそらく使った瞬間に体を維持できなくなる。たとえ使ったとしても純度は落ちていますから、バーサーカーを倒せるとは思えません。
ええ、それで十分よ。セイバーにはバーサーカーと打ち合ってもらうわ。もちろんシロも一緒で、私は隠れて様子を見る。イリアスフィールから見れば私はおまけみたいなものだし、いなければ2人を見捨てて逃げたとか思うんじゃないかしら。は
あ、それはまあ可能性はなくはありませんが。
可能性が低いならあげて。シローはイリアスフィールと仲がいいみたいだし、 うまく話せば騙せるんじゃない？
Tosaka looks at me meaningfully. I may have some objections, but I'll hear you out. If I tell Ilya that Tosaka fled, she'll believe me. She doesn't doubt what people tell her.
だとしても問題はあります。私がバーサーカーと対峙するのはいい。ですが、シローに同じことはさせられません。シローではバーサーカーの一撃に耐えられない。
誰もシローに殴り合えなんて言ってないわ。シローはセイバーから離れて後方支援。セイバーだけじゃバーサーカーを押し切るのは難しいから、危なくなったら助けてあげて。
バカな。シローはリンのように魔術に長けてはいない。援護と言っても何を。
それはシローが考えて。もっともバーサーカー相手だとマスターが介入する余裕なんてないわ。シローだけじゃなくて私だって手を出せばセイバーの足を引っ張るもの。それでも一人だって遊ばせる余裕はないの。シローが殺されればセイバーもおしまいっていうのは分かってるけど、ここはそうしてもらうわ。初めから賭け事み。
それはそうですが。
Saber makes a face and falls silent. Since Tosaka's gone quiet too, she must understand how reckless her proposal is. I can't blame them for being worried. The night I met Saber, the night Berserker attacked, the only thing I managed to use to defend her was my own body. There's a strong possibility that we're headed toward a repeat of what happened that night. So while it may be best for me to distance myself from the battlefield, I'm not going to do so unless they force me to. I know. I'll try to think of something to support from a distance. Was it really that much of a surprise? I just have to support Saber from a distance, right? I'll come up with something. I grab the tree branches I gathered earlier as I say that. They're just the right length and exactly the right kind of flexibility. This is the first time I've done this kind of strengthening. But I don't think I'm wrong in principle here. Basically, I just need to layer my strengthening until it turns into something substantial. Besides, he had something like this, so I can use it as a reference. On top of that, magical energy has been flowing through my body for a while now. All I have to do is to repeat my usual process. I analyze its basic structure and change it. I analyze the material's composition and reinforce it. Starting from the branch, my result should be his bow, but something's missing. I need to think of this from the standpoint of creation. If I want to make something as close as possible to the real thing, I need to envision everything I can about it, down to the smallest detail. I opened my eyes. The warped branch was the right shape, but something wasn't. Crud, it's not even close! It's ugly, distorted, and yet I could tell it will work fine as a bow. Now I just have to create an arrow following the same concept.
シロ、今の。
Yeah, I think I got the hang of it after the incident with Shinji. You said it yourself, don't strain myself.
そう。まあ、手段ができたのはいいことだし、今はいいわ。話を戻すけど、とにかく2人にはバーサーカーと戦ってもらう。私はあらかじめ木に登って上から様子を観察してるから。で、セイバーがなんとかバーサーカーに隙を作ったら、死角である頭上からとっておきの宝石を使い切ってバーサーカーを串刺しにする。作戦としてはそれだけの単純なものだけど。
Tosaka turns her attention to us, checking whether we have any questions.
宝石というのはリンの魔術ですか？だとしても生半可な魔術ではバーサーカーの体には届きません。彼を傷つけるには最大純度の攻撃でなければならないのですから。
分かってる。要するに A 判定の攻撃でないとダメなんでしょ。
Looks like we've got more grammatical errors. As she says this, Tosaka pulls several jewels from her pocket.
その宝石は？
私が物心ついた時からために貯めた貯金みたいなものよ。これ一つで A 判定の大魔術を即座に発生させられる。10個あったんだけどね、一つはあなたに使っちゃったわ。
そうか。あの時の魔術ならば確かにバーサーカーは防げない。彼には私のような大魔力はありません。魔術であってもそれが A 判定ならば問題なく貫通する。
そういうことよ。本当は小出ししていこうと思ったけど、悠長なことは言ってられないわ。バーサーカーには特別に2つか3つは叩き込んでやるんだから。
Tosaka puffs out her chest confidently. However, hey, aren't you being a little stingy?
同感です。私が言えることではありませんが、せめて半分使い切るぐらいの気前の良さが必要だと思うのですが。
何よ、そんなの人の勝手でしょ。あなたたちね、私がどれほど苦労してここまで貯めたって思ってるのよ。
Saber and I protest silently. Tosaka's life depends on this operation too. We can't let ourselves fail just because she's being stingy.
分かったわよ。半分使えばいいんでしょ、使えば。何よ、言ってみただけじゃない。私だってそれくらい分かってるんだから。とにかく作戦はそれだけよ。あとは私が隠れられて、シローがセイバーの援護をしやすい場所を探さなくちゃ。イリアスフィールが来る前にいい場所を見つけましょう。
Yeah, we can't stay in these ruins anymore. And like Tosaka said, we need to find a place where we can all lie in wait for Berserker. But before that... Tosaka seems to have it all together. I'm worried about Saber. I wonder if Saber's really okay. She says she has no problem fighting, but wouldn't it be hard for her to go up against Berserker when she's so weak? Or I suppose I'm more concerned about her Noble Phantasm.
使えばその瞬間に体を維持できなくなる。
That's what Saber said. That means Saber will disappear the instant she uses that attack. Saber.
はい。何でしょうか、シロ。
Before we go out to fight, can you promise me one thing?
ええ、それが私にできることならば構いませんが。
Okay, well, yeah. I don't want you to use your Noble Phantasm, no matter what happens. It's important, and I don't want you to die, even if it means we defeat Berserker.
ええ、分かっています。私も宝具を使う気はありません。今の魔力でバーサーカーを倒せるとは限りませんし、何より消えてしまっては聖杯を手に入れられない。
She's as direct as ever. It's a relief to hear. Okay, yeah, that's the Saber I know. It's good to hear you being so insanely calm.
それはどういう意味でしょうか、シロ。
Nothing at all. Let's just get going. Tosaka will get upset again if we keep her waiting.
そうですね。リンはシロに文句を言うのが趣味のようですから。
And with that kind of weird observation, Saber turns to leave the ruins. But then, she trips on a chunk of rubble and stumbles forward. I quickly grab her hand from behind. Come on, watch your step. You'll need to be careful in this mess. Huh? Saber seems to be blushing. Saber? What's wrong? Did something happen?
いえ、そういうわけではないのですが、手を握られていると、その。
Saber's face turns a deep crimson. She must look like I did a few minutes ago. I find myself blushing too now. With her hand in mine, I suddenly remember the sensations I felt with Saber and quickly pull my hand back. The two of us stand rigidly, saying nothing. Awkward! Let's head out. We'd better get moving. We don't have much time.
そうですね。急ぎましょう、シロ。
We head out after that bit of awkwardness. Once we're outside, we'll never come back here. I look back towards the ruins for the last time, and then head back to the battlefield. We reach a clearing in the forest. The sun is rising, and a white layer of morning mist blankets the forest. Compared to the much denser forest around us, this is a good vantage point. Tosaka, this place doesn't seem bad.
そうね。条件はいくらかクリアしてるけど、見晴らしが良すぎるのがどうもね。これじゃあ私はともかくセイバーとシローの逃げ道がないもの。
Tosaka is such a perfectionist, even if she's considering escape routes.
丘を渡りましょう。大丈夫。まだ時間はあるわ。
Tosaka returns to the forest. But Saber stands motionless, staring off into the distance.
セイバー、何してるのよ。早くしないとイリアスフィールに。
A chill runs up my spine. I could never forget this feeling. I can't see him or feel his presence, but the sudden weight of the air pressing down around me is definitely coming from him. Elia's voice echoes from somewhere in the forest. Beyond the mist, from deeper in the forest, a dark figure approaches. Maybe it's because we're in a clearing with an open view of the sky, but it feels like Elia's peeking down at us from up in the clouds.
やば、あいつもうシロを見つけたの？まずい、ここじゃ視界が広すぎる。何よこのスピード。これじゃあ2分かからちょっと何のんびりしてるのよ2人とも。ここじゃまずいって言ってるでしょ。早く場所を変えないと。
Tosaka grabs our hands, but it's too late. No, this is fine, Tosaka. We're lucky enough that the three of us are able to fight together. We can't ask for anything more.
バカ、それがまずいんだってば。ここじゃ横幅がありすぎるの。セイバーだけじゃバーサーカーを止められないし、いくら離れてたってあんたも間合いに入っちゃうじゃない。
I know you're concerned for me, but we're all in danger here. Besides, we can't escape now anyway.
それはそうだけど。
Are you ready, Saber? We're fighting Berserker here. Saber nods quietly.
もう分かったわよ。簡単にやられたら怒るからね。
Tosaka, apparently convinced, disappears into the mist. Once she goes into action, she acts quietly. She darts into the forest and then scrambles up a tree. They're coming, Saber. Are you ready?
あなたも。戦いが始まったら、決してここから前には出ないように。何があろうと、バーサーカーをここには近づけさせません。
The mist wavers. Out of the morning fog, a dark shadow spreads across the clearing. A mad warrior led by a pale girl steps into view.
「意外ね。てっきり最後まで逃げ回るとばかり思ってたのに。それとももう観念したの？お兄ちゃん。」
Ely is about 40 meters from me. We face each other from opposite ends of the clearing.
セイバーは治ったんだ。そっか。だから逃げ回るのはやめにしたのね。欲しいな。そんなことで私に勝てると思うのは可愛いんだけど。残念ね。シローはここで死ぬんだもの。
Her giggles echo in the forest. Apparently that ticks her off. Saber, still standing beside me, is practically vibrating with animosity. She might launch herself forward at any moment.
もうつまんないな。ずいぶん無口になっちゃったのね。もしかして殺されるのは怖いの？そんなのもったいないよ。今命乞いをすれば私も許してあげないこともないんだから。
Tosaka's probably in position. She'll probably want to be as close to the center of the clearing as she can. There's a spot where the tree branches overlap. It should be sturdy enough to support her weight.
そう。あくまでそういう態度なんだ。なら、もうおしゃべりはここまでだね。リンとモドも殺してあげ。待ちなさい。リンはどうしたの？シロ。
I have to give it to Berserker's master. She knows better than to overlook any details. Tosaka's gone. We stopped working together a while ago.
別行動を取ったの？そっか。セイバーを連れてるシロは足手まといだものね。リン一人ならもっと遠くに逃げられる。
Well, there you go. She's probably out of the forest by now. I doubt you'll catch up to her even if you go after her right now.
そうかしら。この森はアインツベルンの結界よ。誰が入ってきて誰が出ていったかぐらいはわかるんだから。あれから外に出た人間は一人もいない。リンはまだ森にいるわ。探し出すのはこの後でも十分よ。
That's a relief. If Ilya only detects who's going in and out of the forest, then she doesn't know where Tosaka is now. That, and she believed my story pretty easily. Ilya's a truly merciless master. But is she too merciless to have a chance to start over? Ilya, before we fight, there's something I want to ask you. Would you consider quitting being a master and ending this battle?
できないよ。おじいさまの言いつけだもの。バーサーカーがいる限り、私はアインツベルンのマスターなの。イリアは他のマスターたちを殺して聖杯を持ち帰らなくちゃいけないんだから。それにもう一度だけ聞くのはこっちだよ。私はアインツベルンの当主だからあんな言葉二度は言わないわ。けどシローが答え直すって言うんならちゃんと聞いてあげてもいいんだよ。
She sounds almost hopeful. But as long as I have Saber with me, I can't agree to what she's asking. My answer is unchanged. I'm Saber's master. If you're not going to quit being a master, I'll defeat Berserker and make you quit. I look at both Ilya and Berserker and say that. In that instant, I knew I messed up. The air in the clearing tenses with a sharp snapping sound.
そう。なら本気で殺してあげる。その思い上がりと一緒に粉々に砕いてあげるわ、シロ。
What? What the heck is that? There's some sort of inscription appearing on Ilya's face. No, it's not just her face. It's a huge command spell covering her entire body. And I can even see it at this distance. It's so much more massive than the ones we have.
遊びは終わりよ。蹴散らしなさい、ヘラクレス。
Ilya's voice is completely lifeless. In response, the giant behind her howls. Hey, watch your language, Berserker. His roar shakes the earth. He screams and thrashes like he's lost his mind. His abilities grow even more powerful, like his body is swelling with deformed masses.
そんな理性を奪っていただけで凶暴化させていなかったというのか。
I'm not surprised Saber is shuddering. Even I, who can't gauge the warrior's strength, can tell I shouldn't be getting anywhere near that monster.
行け。近寄る者はみんな殺しちゃえ。バーサーカー。
The air explodes. The giant bellows a roar so different from its anguished wail and leaps. Saber! A streak of silver surges forward in answer. Berserker lands in the middle of the clearing. The earth shakes. Saber intercepts Berserker as if stopping a falling meteor. It's like watching a mythical battle unfolding in front of me. In a forest shrouded by morning mist, two shadows clash relentlessly. Berserker's simply overwhelming. Berserker swipes are like whirlwinds, his downward strikes like waterfalls. Even Saber wouldn't survive such a direct hit. Isn't this track in FGO as well? But Saber deflects every attack without faltering or hesitating. She swipes aside the barrage of strikes raining down on her like a raging storm. To fail would mean being cut down on the spot. To Saber, each of the rapid blows seemed to strike with her opponent's full might. The clash of swords echoes around the clearing. Berserker has greater reach. Berserker is faster. Berserker has more stamina. All Saber can do is parry the titanic surges and win from Berserker's swings to mitigate the sheer strength, all just to avoid being cut in half. Berserker's like a broken jackhammer. His blade spins in all directions, annihilating everything in its path. Just getting in reach could only be fatal. There would be no hope of escape. They get caught in that whirling blade and ground to dust. No normal human would have a chance against that. And if getting close can only mean death, then the only option is fleeing. But Saber steps into the whirlwind and doesn't retreat. She'll be shredded to pieces. The swords spark off of her, slowly chipping her armor away. Standing in the middle of that vortex, she could be dead in a heartbeat. I can only hold my breath. In ancient times, heroes who fought dragons and demonic beasts must have all been like this, like her. They know perfectly well how vast the gap in strength between them is. But they bet everything on a 1 in a million shot. A seething mass of violence beyond anything humans are capable of. They just defended until a single opportunity presented itself. Many warriors died without ever seeing the miracle they were waiting for. That's exactly what this battle is. It's a glamorous, eye-catching battle, but it only ends one way, with Saber's defeat. Each blow chips away a little more at her. Berserker's roar shakes the ground. The sheer whirlwind of his frenzy churns up the atmosphere and sends Saber flying as she tries to defend. Every time Berserker's attacks chip away at Saber's armor, she's thrown to the ground. But instead of remaining down or on her knees, Saber charges right back at Berserker every time. But she's at her limit. Saber's breathing is labored, and her movements are visibly slowing. There won't be any opening. In a few moments, Berserker's titanic weapon will shatter Saber's sword. I grip the bow I made. I'm going to... You know, I don't remember if he even used the bow in the anime. I know, it's all futile. This little bow I made can't even scratch Berserker. He won't bother to dodge the arrow. It can't possibly hurt him. Probably all I do is get in the way and make things even harder for Saber. I can't do anything. Saber's about to collapse right in front of me, but I can't do anything. If running at Berserker and punching it would even save Saber, I'd have already done it. But there'd be no point. No matter what I do, I can only get in Saber's way. Slash. Saber sinks into the ground all the way to her ankles as she parries a massive blow. The parrying blade is swift but heavy. The axe sword strikes down from overhead. The brutally powerful weapon grazes Saber's armor as she dodges and tears her up the earth itself. Jaws clenched so hard my teeth could well shatter. Is there really nothing I can do? I can't protect Saber. I can't fight alongside her. There's nothing I can do. All I can do is...
ならばせめてイメージしろ。お前にできることなど所詮その程度でしかないのだから。
Archer said something like that.
外敵などいらぬ。お前にとって戦う相手とは自身のイメージに他ならない。
Yeah. What was he saying again? It wasn't one of his typical snide remarks. What he said had weight and importance to it, and I needed to understand. Then again, probably everything he told me was a warning I shouldn't ignore. Saber goes flying. This time it's not because she leapt away to evade. Berserker hit her this time. That hurricane slash strikes Saber in the side. She stumbles. Coughing violently, she grips her weapon tighter and turns back toward Berserker. The giant doesn't miss the opening Saber finally provides. Stop! My voice doesn't reach them. Shouting is useless, and trying to use the bow like Archer would be pointless. Don't I understand yet? What can I do? What should these hands of mine be doing? That's right. What do I need to save Saber? I can't use a bow. A spear won't pierce him. Having a weapon just like the enemy's is no solution either. To go up against that giant, a sword to cut through a mountain of stone. An opulent sword, sharper than sharp, that will never dull. A king's sword, able to cut down enemies at a single blow. Like that golden sword I saw in my dream. A sword fit for her. My head hurts. I try to fight down my nausea, but I never take my eyes off Saber. Strangely, the longer I watch Saber fall, the more this indescribable pain assaults me. Saber and Berserker seem to be moving in slow motion. I see a row of switches line up. Saber coughs, and for a brief second, she arches in pain. Berserker smashes his axe sword down toward her with all his might. It's as if there's a row of nails in need of hammering down. It's like he's knocking down dominoes. The switch flicks. Saber! Berserker's axe sword cuts Saber down. She's going to die. The strike splits Saber in half at the waist and pierces her flesh, and pieces of her flesh go flying. No, that's not what's happening. The only thing that's gone flying is pieces of armor. Berserker's only split Saber's armor. Saber left herself open to bait Berserker into a single huge swing, and with every ounce of strength she has, she rushes at him. Black form rips through the air, but he can't escape now. Saber's right in front of him. She shifts her grip on her sword and darts in closer, then swings with all her might. I don't believe this. Saber's attack hit home, and the giant, who seems so immovable, flies back several meters. And then... Then comes the true attack. She must intend to release the attack from as close as possible. Tosaka jumps down from the branch above and throws her tools at Berserker as she falls. Shards of ice rain on Berserker. Among the shards are 3 giant spear-shaped icicles, each packed with enough magical energy to blow an entire mansion to smithereens.
ダメ避けなさいバーサーカー
Ilya, quiet until now, suddenly screams at her servant. She must have sensed the danger, but too late. The ice spears aren't falling. They're accelerating toward Berserker. He can't possibly dodge. A 1 in a million opportunity. Saber's desperate attack perfectly coordinated with the ice bullet attacks. It has more than enough magical energy to kill Berserker. However, the axe sword slices through the air. Even as Saber drives him back, he switches to a single-handed grip on his axe sword and shatters all 3 ice spears. Blood splatters the clearing. Maybe it's his one-arm swing, but he fails to completely destroy the ice, and when it strikes, it severs one of Berserker's arms. That's not all. The ice freezes over Berserker's arm, completely restraining it, but it only got one arm. Saber cries out. It's a reasonable response. Berserker catches Tosaka with his good arm as she falls. Tosaka's face twists in pain. Berserker will have no trouble crushing Tosaka with his hand. Tosaka! I run. I don't care if I drag them down. It doesn't matter if I can't do anything. I'm not going to let Tosaka die!
Rin!
Saber must be too weak to even stand, but somehow she gets to her feet. Tosaka must be in agonizing pain, but she stretches a hand out as she hangs her head downward. And then...
そんなことだろうと思ったわ。
she grins wickedly. Everyone gasps. Saber, me, and even Berserker must have all frozen in our tracks. One person can only have so many tricks up their sleeve. She knew this might happen, and she hadn't even bothered to tell us. Berserker squeezes harder around her. He's a heartbeat too late. Four bullets of pure light streak toward Berserker. 4 bullets, 4 gems, 4 rapid shots at the most extreme close range. That has to be enough to end the Dark Mad Warrior. Or rather, the attack perfectly, completely snuffs out his light. It must have blown Berserker's head clean off. The blood splatters even reach me, 10 meters from where Berserker stands. There's kind of a lot more blood in this mess, but I don't think she overdid it. Our opponent was a monster. Berserker would have crushed Tosaka if she hadn't blown his head off. Phew. I slow my frantic run. Tosaka is still in Berserker's grip, but the battle's over. Berserker's face is still hidden in a plume of smoke. From that singing sound, it must have been a heck of an explosion. No way.
嘘。
I hear Tosaka's voice. She's looking at the smoke in disbelief. Hold on. Am I imagining things? Did Berserker's hands tighten on Tosaka? Tosaka's staring at the plume of smoke. It doesn't last long. The smoke starts to dissipate. And in the clearing air, Berserker's face, the face that should have been blown off his body, appears. Tosaka cowers under the evil demon's gaze, at a loss for words. Laughter fills the air. Ilya, who remained at the far side of the clearing, laughs delightedly.
見直したわり まさか1回だけでもバーサーカーを殺すなんてね。でも残念でした。バーサーカーはそれくらいじゃ消えないんだ。だってね、そいつは12回殺されなくちゃ死ねない体なんだから。
12回殺される。
She must have figured something out from what Ilya just told her. Tosaka looks aghast, her face twisting in regret.
そっか。神明が分かった時点で思い当たるべきだった。ヘラクレスって言ったらヒドラの弓なのに、持ってるのはただの岩だった。だからこいつの宝具は物じゃないんだ。英雄ヘラクレスのシンボルはそう、
肉体そのものがヘラクレスの宝具なのよ。あなたも知っているでしょ、ヘラクレスの12の難行を。ギリシャの英雄ヘラクレスは己が罪を償うために12もの冒険を乗り越え、そのご褒美として不死になった。
Not quite how it works, but we'll go with it.
この意味、あなたならわかるでしょ。
命のストック、蘇生魔術の重ねがけ。
Which is going to, and that ability is what's going to make putting him in a fighting game really hard, because the moment anyone who played Street Fighter 3 hears the word resurrection, they get PTSD triggers.
ええ、だからそいつは簡単には死ねないの。かつて自分が乗り越えた分の試練は生き延びてしまう神々にかけられた不死の呪い。それが私のバーサーカーの宝具、ゴッドハンドなんだから。分かった？バーサーカーは今ので死んでしまったけど、あと5つの命があるの。欲しかったわね、リー。今のが5倍の宝石だったらバーサーカーは消えていたのに。
I can't hear Ilya's voice clearly. From the corner of my eye, I see Saber charging Berserker.
リン、逃げて。
Saber dashes over. Tosaka tries to pry open Berserker's fingers, but they won't budge. And then...
いいよ、バーサーカー。そいつ潰しちゃえ。
The burning eyes glare at Tosaka. Tosaka screams. Berserker's enormous fingers dig into Tosaka, trying to rip out her insides. There's only one outcome. Tosaka's lifeless body being crushed to nothing. I run. I forget who I'm up against. I even forget where I am. My mind is completely burned out.
させるか。
Saber cuts toward Berserker. Her invisible sword swings at Berserker's defenseless arm, as if slicing through a radish. But it's no use. Saber's attack pings harmlessly off against Berserker's arm. His grip on Tosaka doesn't loosen. Just moving must be agony for Saber. She swings her sword desperately, blood trickling from her mouth.
シロ。
She freezes the instant she sees me rushing at Berserker. Let go of her! I slap mindlessly at his back with my bow. The giant is unfazed. He doesn't consider me a threat. My fingers are getting numb. What the heck is he if I'm the one... What the heck is he if I'm the one going numb from hitting him?
逃げて、シロ。
Huh? I look up and I hear Saber. In that instant, I go flying through the air like a leaf. I hit the ground and tumble like a bit of stray garbage. Berserker smacked me away with that frozen sword. I try to block the attack with my bow, but it shatters instantly and I'm thrown so far away. Writhe in pain. That breaking sound hadn't come from the bow. One of my arms is bent at the wrong angle, in the wrong spot. When I breathe in, my lungs hurt so bad I want to puke them up. I can't breathe properly with all the blood flooding my mouth. But that doesn't matter. Breathing will just make me pass out. Better that I not breathe. I wake up. Right now, I need to get to him. Him! I run. It's my turn. I'm going to break his arm and save Tosaka. He must have eyes in the back of his head. He swings his sword casually, like he's batting aside a fly. I can dodge it. I won't let an arm that's completely frozen hit me so easily. Dang! My body's sinking. He must have grazed my leg. Darn him! He didn't even touch my leg, but he somehow managed to break it anyway!
バカな。もういい。離れなさい、マスター。
I can't do that. I can't let Tosaka die. What do I need to do to save her? A weapon. A blade would be best. It might be broken pieces of the bow. A bumpy berserker swinging right at me. There's no time to think. I let magical energy flow through me. The strengthening succeeds easily, but down comes Berserker's sword. The fragments are finally pulverized. I meant to dodge, but instead my body slams to the ground. Clearly there was no point in strengthening broken shards. I have to do this from scratch. It shouldn't be impossible. Anyone can imitate as long as they have an example to follow. I just need to duplicate the foundation, structure, work experience, time, and... The giant turns around. It must have decided to kill the little nuisance before finishing Tosaka off. I push up from the ground and glare at the giant. There's no fear. I'm too burned out for fear. But behind me... I see someone prepared to disappear. I see someone determined to use the sacred sword. I said not to use it! Please peels back from the blade. The golden sword begins to reveal itself in Saber's hand. I told her not to use it. The sword I told her never to use, no matter what. I snap. The last thread that had been holding me together finally gives. Don't use it, Saber! My left hand burns. A command spell stroke disappears.
どうして。もうこれしかないではないですか、シロ。
I don't care. The heck with that! All I know is that if she uses it, she'll disappear. You're already on your last legs just from unleashing your sword. You can't use it right now. So just hold on. If you can't use your sword, I'll make one you can use.
現実でかなわない相手なら想像の中で勝て。自身が勝てないのなら勝てるものを幻想しろ。
It's so obvious. It's the only thing I can do. I have to make it. I have to make something that won't lose. I have to imagine the strongest weapon. I have to imagine the ultimate imitation. It has to fool everyone, even me. It shouldn't be that hard. It's not something impossible. Since the beginning, my body has been a specialized magic circuit for this purpose alone. I leap up. My entire body burns like it's on fire. My left hand is crimson. What?
あの剣は私の
Saber's voice rings with shocked disbelief. She's staring at the weapon in my hands, at the thing that shouldn't exist. Oh! The storm seems to have a will of its own. Oh! The golden blade moves as if it's being drawn to the giant's arm. It slashes at him, tearing through the arm. Tosaka falls to the ground along with the arm that had been holding her. The golden sword shatters as if it had been made of glass. My blood begins to flow backward. It doesn't matter. The sword broke. That's impossible. If I imitated that sword, it shouldn't have shattered like that. It shattered because it wasn't sufficient. My image of the sword wasn't enough. Berserker's furious gaze turns toward me. His massive sword swings up at me. This time, he's determined to cut me in half. It doesn't matter. Berserker, you're not my enemy right now. I'm only fighting against one person right now. The last one wasn't perfect. My image of it was flawed, so the sword that should have been invincible broke. If I'm to duplicate things, I need to work on not just their shape, but also their maker. I hear the others holding their breath. In front of me, I see the axe sword rushing toward me like an oncoming storm, and a half-formed sword is ready to block it. In desperation, I try to use the sword to block the incoming blade. But that doesn't matter to me. Right now, I need to finish this blade to make it real. Another mistake. You're not fit for fighting, Shirou Emiya. Your battle is supposed to be a mental one. A fight against your own self. You don't have to remind me. What I need to do is simple. Projection. Start. I concentrate. I'm challenging my own self. There can be neither deviation nor compromise. Determining creation ideology. Anticipating base essence, duplicating material structure, replicating the forger's skill, resonating with the possessor's experience, imitating the uncountable years, and surpassing every manufacturing process. Illusion shall bind with reality to forge a sword. The giant roars. My sword deflects the countless gusts assailing me from the enemy's furious attacks. But that's about it. I'm knocked away from him. The moment I come to, the sword leaves everything to me. The attacks I blocked so easily a moment ago now toss me around effortlessly. I can't feel my arms. The skin on my wrist is blistering and red. I'm surprised I can even keep a grip on this sword. My legs do not work. I can only imagine every muscle shredded to ribbons. I can't get up. I made a sword that surpasses Berserker. But that's all. I'm just the one who made it. I can't wield the sword I worked so hard to make. A shadow looms over me. He must know who he has to kill first now. I rush away and Berserker rushes after me like a gust of wind. His enormous sword swings toward me. But it's deflected. Huh? In complete disbelief, I realize another hand is closed around my own. The air splits around me. The giant attacks with all its might, trying to destroy everything around him. But right before that happens, she's so close. I can hear her voice over the din. If Berserker is a Stormfront coming to attack me, Saber is a gale rushing to my side. Saber sprints over to me and twists around, gripping me firmly. The rock sword shatters. The golden flash explodes through the giant's axe sword and continues ahead, slicing through Berserker's rock-like body without slowing. Maybe I copied the form so well that I copied some of its abilities too. The golden sword lodges deep in Berserker's body and glows so brilliantly that light pours from the giant's body. And then, in an instant, the light fades and the forest falls silent. All the strength flees my limbs. The heat that had been surging through me rapidly cools. The sword I made begins to disappear. I watch it vacantly. Saber and I remain together, holding the sword in our hands until it's disappeared completely. Wind sweeps through the clearing. The earth-shaking howl and the blade that had churned up the very air are gone.
それが貴様の剣か、セイバー。
The previously invincible giant, now immobile, looks to the knight who defeated him and speaks in a low, rumbling voice.
これはカリバーン。王を選定する岩の剣。永遠に失われた私の剣。ですが。
今のは貴様の剣ではなかろう。それはその男が作り上げた幻想に過ぎ。
Saber nods quietly.
所詮は長いもの。二度とは存在せぬ剣だ。だが、しかし。
Berserker's chest opens up. He begins to dissolve. His body begins to crumble like wet sand, beginning where the sword pierced him and rapidly expanding outward.
その幻想も侮れん。よもやただの一撃でこの身を7度滅ぼすとはな。
So we only had 5 lives to go, but it was enough to kill him 7 times over? Dang! His dying words are spoken without emotion. The mad warrior keeps to his role until the very end, and fades away in a dispersing haze into the misty morning air. Dizziness rocks me where I stand. This is probably the price for such excessive use of magecraft. The blood that rages through me is putting pressure on my brain, sending far too much oxygen out to the rest of my body. My head feels like it could split open. The enemy has disappeared, and whatever was numbing the pain earlier has faded. As if to make me pay the accumulated toll of this incredible battle, the dizziness and headache crash into me like twin meteors.
Shirou.
I'm about to collapse, but Saber supports me. Saber shouldn't have the energy for that either at this point. No, I'm fine. I've got a few broken bones, but nothing fatal. I've got that healing thing, and it's already kicking in, so I'll be fine.
何を言うのです。あれだけの投影魔術を使ったのですから、今は休息を取らないと。
But there's someone I have to talk to first.
イリアスフィール。
Saber stands ready. Elia stares at where Berserker had been standing, her eyes hollow.
ちょうどいい。何のつもりかは知りませんが、追う手間が省けました。潔く、ここで。
No, Saber! Don't hurt Elia! With that Berserker, she's... I stop Saber with the last remaining strength I have. Elia doesn't even seem to notice we're here. She just stares at the ground.
嘘。まさか死んじゃったの？
She sounds like an abandoned child. Elia. Elia lifts her head absent-mindedly. It happened suddenly. Ilya collapses like a puppet with its strings cut. What? I don't know what happened. I just stare at Ilya where she lies. And at almost the same moment, Tosaka raises her hand. She's freed now that Berserker's arms disappeared. I must have loosened up the moment I heard Tosaka was safe. My vision blurs and I can feel my body trying to pass out. I can't show that kind of weakness. We may have defeated Berserker, but we're still in the forest. Wary as we are, we have to focus ourselves to get out of the forest. I look up at the sky as it begins to lighten. The town is a long way away. All my allies are wounded, and every single inch of me hurts. And yet, morning has come. We survived the night I was prepared not to. After defeating our greatest enemy, we leave the winter forest. And we are calling it there for tonight. So I hope you enjoy. I hope you're still enjoying the stream. I will be. I will try to get back on tomorrow to continue. And have a good